middle of fucking Crown Point.
It's It's on Maryville Street, or I have to go the other way.
No, if you go straight down this road, my road here, that way, to Summit Street.
You then make a right.
And then make a right, and then Culver's is down before Broadway.
Okay, we're recording. We are live. We're going to discuss the Lord of the Rings. The Rings of Power.
Yes.
Right? Is that what we're doing here?
Yeah, that's still
Rings of Power.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
Hold on.
We don't have a logo yet. We'll get one.
Hey, dude, listen.
What?
Hey, I'm going home tonight. I will not forget. I will Photoshop us onto some. I'm gonna make us.
Jeremy has to make a logo that
I know
looks
what you're
like the
talking
Lord of the
about.
Rings.
That
This
looks
is
like
how
the
to
Lord
watch
of the
TV.
Rings. Yeah, but I'm saying I'm gonna Photoshop just for some thumbnails, so we can have some thumbnail options that's more attractive to the viewer. People clicking through on YouTube and stuff like that. They see our faces looking silly on some posters or some shit like that. Trust me, it's gonna work.
He thinks that's going to get us viewers.
I don't.
I'm not really. I don't care. I enjoy talking about the shows.
He's probably not wrong, is the sad part.
Listen.
Why are you talking around your pop filter? You're like, listen.
We're gonna start recording again. I'm tired a little bit, and I'm
Like it's in his way. Hey,
Listen.
hey, what's going on here?
Peter Piper picked a peck
Peck of pickled. Yeah.
Listen, we're about to start recording the next episode.
I'm recording the next episode.
Nice. My influence, it lives on forever. But no, listen, we're recording another episode right now. We're going live very shortly. We actually might be live right now. We're talking about Lord of the Rings of Power, episodes 1 and 2. Join us, or I will find you.
Threatening. Excellent. Wonderful. Again.
I will
Here we go
find
again.
you.
Dude, we're going to get... Okay, are we ready to do this?
Let's get it, peoples.
I'm going to nail this intro, okay? So just be ready for that shit.
I told
okay?
you, it's going to happen.
And no fucking up on purpose.
Right.
Jesus, Jeremy.
He's ready to
Thanks
do
for the
that. You
F-bomb.
know damn
Thanks
well
for
he
the
was
F-bomb.
thinking that.
This is how to watch TV.
Live from 9 Mile Studio, my name is Joel Henderson. With me, as always, Jeremy Vasitis and Dre Brown.
We are brought to you by Comeuppance Network. You can
That's
check
me.
Yeah, that's him. We can we brought you. Check out all of our past, present, and future stuff at howtowatchtv.website. And
Dot website. Don't forget, it's howtowatchtv. Dot
You
website. Gotta
right.
type the whole shit.
Website.
right, and
SITE for the slow.
the of course there's the studio sponsor, 9 Mile Branding, signs, banners, decals.
The stuff
wrap.
you see around us,
Right.
like you see. Oh, no, not in that shot.
Well-
the stuff you see there, all made by 9 Mile Branding.
Dude, and we're not going to minimize what 9 Mile Brandon does.
If we wanted to make that stuff look cooler, Dre, how would we do that? Tell us about another sponsor we could hook up with.
If you wanted to like really be trippy and like look at these beautiful posters and stuff, you can check us out at abcannabistraining.com. AB Cannabis Training from
This
Chicago.
is the best intro we've
Listen,
ever done. Thank you.
I'm just saying, but I want to double back on it because I want to be legitimately sincere on this one.
Okay. What's the next joint you guys got coming up?
There's some stuff that Jeremy is doing here with 9 Mile Branding, with his ability to print just about anything on any medium.
You talking the Rings of Power behind you, or the
Yeah,
House
even
of the Dragon
like
next
the House
to
of
him?
the Dragon there, the Rings of Power.
We can't see. We usually see the How to Watch
we
TV and the.
We
other How to
can't.
Watch
More
I mean,
background.
even the scorpion behind me on this side. Sorry for the confusion with looking
It's
at the
actually
camera.
a sound panel.
Yeah, that's a sound dampening panel.
It's pretty
You
cool.
got to go check out 9milebranding.com, man. Real
appreciate it,
talk.
Drake.
9 Mile Branding. I'm being real with you, bro. Like
They did
I
the
have-
signs for my wedding.
Exactly. And look, I have a movie theater in my basement. And outside of the movie theater, I didn't want to be one of those guys that just support anybody's stuff. So
Right.
I'm a personal type of guy. So I made custom posters that are like fake movie posters with me and my wife and kids and stuff in different movie scenarios. And Jeremy printed those up. So I have movie quality posters outside of my custom movie theater in my basement at home.
Because of
And that's
9milebranding.com, is that what you're
man.
saying?
This is like the
I'll let my
best,
boy,
like,
man.
sponsorship.
No, I know. You know what?
love it.
No,
Don't
listen,
jinx it.
that's
We're
from
on a roll here.
I'm being real. That's from the heart right there because I had to really sit here and think about it. Like, man, bro, He really printing out.
That's the number 9, the word mile, the word branding.com.
Yeah, and dude, I opened the gym some years ago. Remember? I opened the gym some years ago. He printed a big vinyl banner
Lift.
with Lift Fitness on it for me to.
I
hang
feel
in
like
my
the more
gym.
impressive thing is that he printed the banner behind you since we started today.
Today.
Like
That's what I'm
the
saying.
Rings of Power one.
The
That
turnaround.
shit was done today. We're ready to go, and he's like, "Give me a minute."
Give me like 10 more minutes.
Right, the
Okay.
turnaround, man. So I'm saying, man, if y'all need something printed out, man, holla at my boy, man.
Yeah, 9milebranding.com. Also, if you like to get high, AB Cannabis training or
Or if
something,
you
right?
just want to get paid or something,
Or if
man.
you want to learn how to
We'll
get people
certified
high.
and like
Right?
Certified, man. We trying to get you folks out here working in this cannabis industry, especially my blacks and Latinos and disenfranchised youth, people that's been
What about
victims.
me?
No, listen, I'm saying like it's for anybody, but what I'm saying is people that's been adversely affected by or disproportionately affected by the quote unquote war on drugs. We know a lot of what we call minority youths find themselves in legal ramifications for dealing with marijuana. So, you know, we can get you back in the system working, making a actual living. You could be gainfully employed working in an industry that you might actually love.
right.
Something to think about.
Okay, other things to think about. Seasons 1, episode 1 and 2 of the Lord of the Rings show that has been much hyped for years at this point, doesn't it feel like? They've been talking about this for a year or two?
Yeah, I remember
quite some
hearing
time,
about
yeah.
it for
Yeah.
a little while.
They bought the Amazon acquired the television rights to Lord
I
of
was
the Rings
nervous.
in 2017.
I do remember well, you
So
know,
it's
people,
been-
You were nervous about this?
when I heard that,
Okay.
that Amazon was going to be producing the Lord of the Rings series, I was immediately nervous.
Well, the first thing I thought was are we getting a retread?
yeah,
I didn't
remember.
know.
I
I
think
said,
we
are we
talked
just
about
gonna
that.
like? Are we gonna do a whole thing?
Like, it's gonna be a
feels
new-
I don't know. I
Gandalf.
never read any of the Tolkien books other than The Hobbit in school, but the Silmarillion, from what I know of it, just hearing about it, it's not one cohesive story.
no.
No, it's more like
it's just a bunch
almost
of
like
little
reading an
tales.
encyclopedia almost.
Okay.
But his son actually organized it and published it. Like it was basically just a bunch of like notes and little
Right.
short stories and stuff like that. He organized it and published it as.
Can I ask a
think
question?
three
Was
different-
Sauron the bad guy in that too?
It depends on what age you're talking about.
Any of it?
Well, yes.
As soon as there was a bad guy, was it always Sauron?
No, it was used to be Morgoth.
Okay.
Right.
Sauron was a follower
So
of Morgoth.
okay.
He was described as his shadow.
But they like brushed over that so quickly.
See, and
in
I
this
wish
show.
like I don't disagree with you. I wish we could have gotten more into that. But
I felt disappointed after you asked how I felt about the show, Dre. I really enjoyed it. My only downside really is that it felt like they rushed into the same big bad we've known for the entirety of Lord of the Rings. I felt like that was a disappointment to me. I would have rather seen Sauron come into power rather than just be told he came into power.
okay.
But no, this
Well,
is
I
not that
think-
type of world. And let me stop before Jeremy
Go
even
ahead.
say anything.
Go ahead.
I want to say this: what you're dealing with now are deities. Whereas when we talking about Game of Thrones or something like that, we talking about different.
Well, weren't the White Walkers like deities?
No, not at all. Not on this level. These people are actually angelic. Like Gandalf is an angel. These people are immortal. They're not.
lack-
Wait a minute. Where did you get Gandalf as an angel?
he's
I'm
right.
genuinely asking that.
No,
He's
Gandalf is-
literally an angel.
Well, it's
Well,
just,
not-
Isn't he a wizard?
But wait. Okay,
He's not a wizard?
okay. Hold. I just like.
I'm asking.
Okay, calm down, and I'll
What
answer.
do you mean, calm down?
No, because you
I
stopped me in the
Using
middle of
angel,
me
he's
explaining
basically
it.
using angel as for lack of a better term.
Yeah, for
Meaning a
well,
good guy that has
He's-
powers?
No, I mean
No,
like
meaning
a,
he's-
a
he came
supernatural
from-
entity that is immortal, does not have a
So-
beginning
so-
or end.
It's celestial. It's
A
not
celestial,
He's
right.
not
So there was never like young Gandalf.
in the
Not really,
terms
no.
of being born as a human being. No.
No.
Okay, so shit, I don't want to.
No, the reason why I say that because when the question you asked was, you stated
I was
that
just
you would
saying
like
as
to
Sauron,
see Sauron come into power. There's
Right.
not when you're dealing with this type of world, you're not dealing with somebody coming into power.
but the
people
what
with
was
power-
the guy's Morgoth?
Morgoth.
Was
Like
a god.
we
He's
saw
he's
that
deity.
lose the power, so to speak, and but we didn't see how it came to Sauron. Is all I'm saying. Like I would have liked to. I would have liked the default to not be,
Wait.
by the end of episode 1, Sauron is the big bad again.
Okay.
That's
Well,
all I'm saying.
I guess what I'm trying to explain is basically the people with power are born with it. Period. That's just how it works.
Right.
Sauron is not a human.
Sauron's not a person.
I'm not saying he's a person. I'm just saying he's the big bad in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, but
and
you
I would
gotta
have liked
remember-
at least one episode where he wasn't the big bad of this series. That's all I'm saying. It could have been Morgoth.
To
We
be
could have
fair, he
seen
still
that
might not
fight
be.
a little bit more.
We only two
I
episodes.
understand.
I get you.
We still only 2 episodes
It just
deep.
it seemed early to introduce him is all I'm saying. Like I would have been fine if they went with something else to start, and then it came to Sauron.
But
by
wait,
the end
but
of
wait,
this
but
run.
wait. Okay, she's hunting Sauron, correct? But for thousands of
Yeah.
years, she has not found him.
Right.
He's been hiding.
Right.
He's not.
Yeah.
Well,
and
he's
that's-
been moving ahead of her, essentially.
Did you saw the Hobbit?
The way that they came back at the end with the in the Southlands, it's almost like somebody was moving the guards so that they could come through. Those people just got moved out of there. That Grey Worm character guy, I don't know his name. They were just saying, we're getting shipped out. And guess what comes through the next day? The orcs.
Yeah, they had.
There's some tie there to like somebody's moving the guards so that the orcs can
We're trying.
survive.
What he's trying to say, and what I guess I'm trying to follow up is like what you're wanting to see is what you're watching. Just keep watching.
Yeah, basically, because at the,
I'm
because
simply
it's like-
stating I would have liked to not have him introduced right away.
yeah, but
that's it.
They haven't.
They did. They said Sauron, and like they showed him.
They showed him. That's it. But that was thousands of years ago.
Right.
yeah, and also,
Well,
just
we
to
were
be fair,
that
but-
was present at the
but
time
just
we
to be
saw it,
fair-
right? Or am I wrong
She
on
was
that?
giving it the prelogue, the
But to
epilogue,
be
where she was
fair-
like,
Was that not when she was a kid? I'm sorry. I thought that was when she was a kid.
No.
It was before that, just so I'm clear.
What are you asking? About?
Sauron. When they showed Sauron take over from Morgoth, I thought that was in the present when we were watching it, like when she was a
That's
kid.
during the
when
prologue.
Galadriel.
That's during Galadriel's prologue when she's giving you the rundown of all that. So that's
Right.
So that was before she
so-
was born.
no. She was born.
Right, so it was when she was a kid is what I'm getting at. Or you're saying when she spoke it.
Dude, like you can't, like you keep spitting words at me, and I don't have time to think of an answer for you.
Okay,
You
take your
have to,
time.
like,
I'm not in any hurry.
What
the fuck, man? Just wait and finish it. Whatever you
No,
got.
but I think what Jeremy is trying to say, and what I was trying to say, and what you're trying to ask is, you thinking about it timeline. Okay, show us before this thing, but what you fail to realize when asking something like that is these are long-lived characters. So when you think about Lord Elrond, we're seeing a younger Elrond, but he's still thousands of years old. This guy's like 10,000, 15,000 years old when you see the Lord of the Rings trilogy that came out.
Okay.
You talking about not introducing Sauron in the first episode, but think about it logically. What difference does it make? Because the heroes from the movies are there from the beginning too.
I guess the retort I would have is simply that if they had introduced another character like Morgoth, there is a genuine possibility that our hero characters can defeat them. We know that Sauron makes it to the Lord of the Rings movies. In that sense, there's less of a stake there
He makes it past-
because he's not going to lose.
Right, but let's be clear.
let's
He
have
makes it
somebody be
past the
before
Lord of the
him to
Rings
where.
movie, too.
Right, I'm not
can't
I'm not
die.
disputing that. I'm just
That's kind
saying
of what my point was. It doesn't matter. The timeline.
I would have
doesn't
liked
matter.
to see where that started.
Oh
is
yeah,
all
you're gonna
I'm
get some.
saying.
You're gonna get some other characters. You're gonna get some other. I mean, because think about it like this.
This is-
Even if you go back to the Lord of the Rings, Lord of the Rings, Sauron was introduced in the very beginning of the very first episode. I mean, the very first movie.
Right.
We saw him on the battlefield. We saw him lose his ring,
Right.
and then we saw him basically going to hiding. The villains of the Lord
That
of
was
the
before that was
I
after
know,
what we're
but-
seeing, right?
But this
That
technically will be after. I
Yeah.
think.
That battle you're talking about
From the
very
beginning of the Lord of the Rings will
that's
still be
the
after.
battle of the last alliance.
Right.
That's the end of all.
Right after
Right.
that's still. But what I'm
That's the end.
So
of
he
the
had
second
gone into.
age.
This is his second going into
But
hiding.
the-
Then after that battle, we're seeing at Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
And the point of what the point of me saying it was that in those stories, we had the Balrog, we had Saruman. We had Wormtongue, Green Mirror Wormtongue. We had all of these other characters who played the villain on his behest. But these were all the villains that they were dealing with. You had the ring wraiths. You had, you know what I'm saying? So Sauron is forever. That's why I said that first.
So
These
that's
characters
just the
are
devil in this thing.
to effect, yeah, almost. I'm not trying to oversimplify.
That's
it
less
like
interesting than if it were he came into power after Morgoth. Like it felt like Morgoth was that thing.
Yeah, but
I would have enjoyed seeing a season of that. Is all I'm getting at.
I don't
Like,
know.
genuinely, there's nothing more to it than
I
that.
get what you're saying, but what I'm
Yeah.
saying is,
Because what was he before that? When during Morgoth, what was Sauron?
He was a leader. He was one of his like generals, one of Morgoth's closest. They called him Morgoth's shadow.
Okay.
So after the battle at the beginning of this show,
Right.
where they talk about defeating Morgoth or whatever,
Right.
he goes into hiding. Sauron
goes into
He
hiding.
wasn't physically at the beginning of Lord of the Rings trilogy. He's physically destroyed.
Right.
His essence, his life essence, is in the ring. So his physical body is destroyed. I don't think at this point.
And in that tower or whatever, right?
Yes, and so he becomes like the eye. So you never
Right.
actually see Sauron.
Other than that
as-
first battle.
Other than
right.
the first battle. So this is, I think, if I'm not terribly mistaken, they're giving you what you want. This is not. Yes, they've mentioned him already, but he's hiding right now,
Right.
and he's going to play this long game to get to the point of having the rings forged and building up his armies and creating the city of Mordor and all that shit. We're gonna see all of that up until the point where they fight him in that battle.
And now
that he's talking about.
And this
So
is what I meant to bring up in the
so
last
yes,
episode,
yes,
but
so-
I was mistaken about which show it was. They're basically the White Walkers of this show. Sauron is basically like we're sucking the light out of this world kind of a thing, and we're laying in wait to build our army.
So what Morgoth did.
He was above Sauron, though, just to be clear.
Yes. So Morgoth was one of the earliest deities, like he said, gods of
Right.
this universe, the Tolkien
Okay.
universe.
and if
right?
God's created angels and demons, Sauron, Gandalf, Saruman, Umo, what's the Radagast? These are all angels.
Angels.
Now you look at them as
Per se.
wizards.
Right.
The personification is a wizard. But
I'm just going by what they were called.
but
I didn't
no,
know that
no,
was a
no,
thing.
That's
but-
what,
no,
but
that's
that's
what I'm
how
telling you.
mortal men in the
Right, you saw him as wizards, but just like Gandalf when he came back after he had disappeared for maybe a few weeks.
Right.
But in his time, in his mind, he had been gone for like millions of years. He didn't even remember the lifetime that he was still called Gandalf. These people are immortal. That's why I was saying that. That's the reason why I introduced that first. These people live forever.
Right.
When you say we know Sauron makes it to Lord of the Rings, no, Sauron makes it past Lord of the Rings. He can't die. That's
I
the
just
point.
I
You
just
know what I'm saying?
meant
Like,
they introduced a character that we already know, as you said, makes it beyond that. So like to me that makes that character slightly less interesting than somebody that could or
But
could
see,
not
but, like,
make
to
it
me,
through
like,
the Lord of
actually,
the
like,
Rings in the
we knew-
background.
you knew that name was the big bad in the Lord of the Rings, per
Right.
se, but you never actually got Sauron as a character
Right.
in that show. You're gonna
But
get,
it feels like my only complaint is that it feels like we jumped to him already in at his point of power.
He's not.
Not to the full power, but like he's already just this badass adult, as opposed to we get to see
Well,
where
I
he came
think
from.
You just keep watching because I think
yeah,
you're
and
wrong.
also
I think we'll get some.
stop
of
thinking about
him
it like other
growing.
shows. Don't compare it to other shows. Take that
What
out of your
other
head.
shows?
Because you talk. First of all, you already said they like the White Walkers. No, that's not even.
I'm saying in the
remotely
sense
close.
of them him disappearing and gathering strength and building an army. That's exactly the same as the White
Yeah,
Walkers.
yeah, but that's what he's gonna
and
do.
they suck the light
that's
out
what
of
he
the
gonna
world.
do in an endless cycle. That's what he's gonna do in an endless cycle.
With their
cycle
endless
because
night.
That's what he does. He's a Maya. A Maya is basically, like I said, an angel.
Is that something that
not-
we find out at some point, or is that something you
Oh,
know
well,
from a book? Or I'm just
yeah,
asking you why you know that.
Or, yeah.
Yeah, it's part of the lore, but it's
Okay.
also something that, if I'm not mistaken, they alluded to Gandalf and Saruman being they bearers of the light or whatever. You know, it's whatever their purposes
Servant
was.
of the secret fire.
Right.
So, wielder of the flame of ardor.
These,
So,
look, he
I just
said
hadn't
that
heard
shit
the
with
term
pride. He
before.
said-
That's
I
all-
like how you said that last one. He was like, wielder of the flame.
I'm not trying to be difficult. I've never heard that term.
No,
so
but
I was
that's
just wondering where you
the
got it
reason
from.
why I'm saying
wait,
it is
so-
because
so-
I don't want to
and that's
look
where
at
we were
these
trying to,
characters
like,
like characters from other shows. These are actual. We're talking
This
about
is
deities
way more
fighting
high.
on a landscape of man. Man is there, witnessing almost.
Right.
Well, we
this
well we
happened.
just glossed over the one part that to me would have been a little more interesting. Is all I'm saying. Like we went from Morgoth to him, but we didn't show any of.
Yeah, but it's
like,
not. It wouldn't. It was that's my point. I'll just say it like
saying
this.
there was no
You're saying
transition of
it
power.
It wouldn't be a thing where he had to rise in
What do you mean
power.
finite?
2 episodes. You're saying like it's already done. Like you have to watch the rest of the show.
Yeah, no, I'm not
You're
saying they
going-
couldn't go backwards. I'm
Yeah.
saying they already went past something I would have liked to have seen.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have been no
fine.
difference.
That's all I
It would
mean.
have just been a different name because, like I said, this not
What do you mean it would have? I'm genuinely interested. What do you mean it would have been a different
Gandalf
name?
doesn't have to get stronger. Saruman does not have to get stronger. They don't have to go through a certain amount of training to gain power. They don't have to do any political intrigue, inroads.
They
over
just
here.
were always.
I am born with this power. They even allude to the fact that Gandalf holds back his power
Yeah.
because he could literally destroy everybody. They
Right.
gave you clues to this with how much power we dealing with when everybody who came in contact with a little bit of Sauron's power was like, no, don't give me that ring. I will lose my shit. I will destroy this world. This world will go up in flames. You understand what I'm saying?
Galadriel,
And
for
look,
example.
and that Galadriel. Now here's the difference between Galadriel and Gandalf. Peep this. Just in the speech when they were confronted with taking a ring, Aragorn was like, "I don't trust myself. Frodo, you gotta go. I would have went with you the whole way. You know that, but you gotta go, bro, because I can't be around that type of power." Galadriel, which was later than the Gandalf speech, but Galadriel was like, "I will be this queen," and she flipped out and like it filled
Wait,
her with.
sorry. Just I'm sorry if this sounds really dumb, but Galadriel is now a character in both shows,
What do you mean?
in Lord of the Rings, the movies,
Yeah,
and
that's what I was
I don't
saying.
remember
She's
that
super
character
old, yeah. She was
necessarily.
She was
Lord
the
of the
witch
Rings.
in the woods.
She's the witch in the woods.
Okay,
She,
sorry, I don't remember
she
that
talks
detail
to people
from that.
inside their head.
I tried watching them recently, and I just didn't make it all the way through, not
But
because
no,
of any
but
reason.
game
other
though.
than
There-
schedule.
I'm about to show you the difference between some
I
of
just
the
didn't
character
know she was
levels.
in both. Fair enough.
Galadriel said, "Don't give me that ring because I will become a queen, great and powerful and terrible." Now remember, she's an elf. She lives a long time,
Right,
but they not immortal.
right.
Listen to what Gandalf says when Frodo tried to get him the ring. He said, "Understand, I would take this ring from a desire to do good, but through me, it would wield a power unbearable."
Too
Right.
great and terrible to
Saying
imagine.
not that the ring would give me power, that the power that I have,
Right, it would
is
be unleashed,
so
yeah.
unimaginably terrible.
Right.
Literally, like think about what I'm saying.
Right.
These are gods, so that's why I
I'm
keep
saying,
trying
like,
to
what he- I think
emphasize
what
the
he's trying
point
to
that
tell you
these are
is, like,
immortals walking on a mortal plane, and their
Expand
story is
your,
different.
Your mind as far as the possibilities, like we're magic. Magic was so subtle in Game of
I have
Thrones.
zero issue with any of the stuff you guys are saying. I literally just wanted to see the beginning of it. That's it.
Right.
I
I
wanted
think
a little
you
bit
might- you
before
might
he
get-
was in, before he was the dude. That's it. None of the stuff you guys are saying I have any disagreement with.
No, I understand
I
what
totally
you. I know
agree.
exactly what you want, but what I'm telling you is
They could have showed it
based
with
on-
the
but-
fact that
but what I'm
Morgoth
saying-
existed
But
as
what I'm
the
saying
power.
is based on how the
That's all.
That
characters
was actually a
based on how the
complaint that I
characters.
did see from other people too. Was like, yeah, can we have seen a more of a physical representation of Morgoth and
But-
then more
Yeah.
of that?
but-
Can we? But we got
Because
have
it felt
6
like let's get to default. Let's get to
We had-
baseline, which is Sauron's the bad guy.
Well,
and you know what I mean? Like
also,
that
though,
was
what he's
meh
but
to
what
me.
he's saying
But
comes
what-
into play though, as far as it being like these characters living for thousands.
I
and thousands.
totally get it.
No.
Why do you not agree with me agreeing with you? I don't
I'm not- you
understand.
say- I'm
I
just-
do understand what you're saying.
But what I was just going to
You're
say
not
is-
liking me
was
saying
that
I
it was-
agree?
I'm
I
not
was-
trying to disagree with you. I'm just trying to spout information. That's
Go
it.
ahead.
I'm not- okay,
I
go ahead.
agreed at
You
that
won't let me
point.
talk.
I,
Okay,
I
go
can't
ahead.
say I agree with what you've said so
You
far,
can
for
keep
fuck's
saying
sake.
it over and over me. While
Okay,
I'm trying
great.
To talk, but go ahead.
All I was going to say was what they were. Was,
I haven't heard
the-
anything that disagrees with what I'm
I was-
fucking
I-
saying.
I
is
am.
all
I'm about to
being
tell you now.
mean. Go ahead.
The thing that what you're asking for, my
Why are you guys so against it?
No, listen. The position that I'm asking, I'm saying that the position that I'm sitting and looking at the characters the way they're written, what you would have been given would have been exactly the same, because there's no come up, there's no rise to power. There's literally, I have power, now you have it.
Right.
It would have been so disinteresting. You would have actually been mad at that, because you would have showed Morgoth and be like, Morgoth is all powerful. He's super. He gave it to Sauron. What the fuck he do that for? What difference did it make? We didn't even have to see that guy.
Simply that the same big bad wouldn't have been the same. That's it. That's my only point. I would have loved to see another big bad for a little while before Sauron became the big bad.
But the irony of it is, and I agree with you, that, yeah, it's cool to introduce new characters.
Right.
The story that they telling is not that, though. They're not just going to change the story just to be like, all right, let's introduce new characters. No, the story was written that this guy's an immortal, and he got his power from this thing, and these people have been waging war with him for tens of thousands of years.
Right.
So let's go back a little further when Elrond was a little less downtrodden with the world, and seeing how men have failed, and you know how in the Lord of the Rings, Elrond was really like down on man. He really kind of almost had a hatred for mankind because he has spent right. And but then when you look back at the show that we're watching now, you see that this is almost a chipper young elf guy, because he's still like, he hasn't experienced all those things.
Which character was he? Forgive me. In the in the Lord of the Rings.
In the Lord of the Rings, he was the
Okay.
Hugo Weaving's character. He's the guy who whose daughter married Aragorn, half human, and
Liv Tyler.
Right.
Yeah, Liv Tyler.
Okay.
And so when you see those type of things, I think it's dope. And I honestly, just not disagreeing with Joel and not disagreeing with anybody, but when I looked at it and I saw Sauron at the beginning, I actually got a little excited, because I felt like I didn't get enough Sauron in the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah, for sure. They need to expand on that character.
I feel like I want to see him do something. And look, and here's the scary part about it, because I know the way the character is written, the fact that he lays low for so long. I think he popped up one time as the they called him the Necromancer during the Hobbit trilogy.
But I'm saying
he
like,
pops up for like a half a second.
We're seeing him.
Is he
during
not
the
the
run
guy?
of this show, we're going to see him.
I want to see him do some shit.
You don't think he's the guy?
I don't think
the comic Targaryen guy?
No, I don't think you're going to know who he is until the end of this season. You won't even know who that is yet.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna see nothing.
You're gonna even know who Sauron.
My assumption was that Comet Targaryen dude.
I don't
at the
think
end
so.
of the first
Comet
episode.
Targaryen. I think that's Gandalf.
I think it is too.
I had written new Gandalf.
But Gandalf like his first entrance into Middle Earth. Like,
Yeah.
Literally Gandalf,
literally.
as opposed to another, like
or
the first
it could be
of the Gandalf
It could
style.
be a different wizard, according to
I did tell
the
Jeremy it
lore,
might have been
whatever.
Radagast.
the lore of game.
What is
or
that?
Not, the lore of
What's Radagast? I'm
He's
sorry.
another wizard.
He's the Forest Wizard. I
Forest
believe.
Wizard.
Okay, I don't know what that is.
he was just another one of these
Like
beings.
pre-Gandalf.
No, with
No,
Gandalf.
with Gandalf. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
See, the thing
You're
is,
saying they're wizards. What I was going to say is like in his lore, the wizards didn't technically appear in Middle Earth until like the Third Age.
right?
So we're in the Second Age, is what we're watching. Some of the stuff they
So he
showed
could
us
have
at
been the
beginning.
first
So,
one.
and all I was trying to say is like, for the sake of the human characters that are in this show, the people that are not immortal, you have to kind of pick a time period. Because
Are we talking like the dwarfs and stuff?
Yeah, they're not even that. They
Yeah,
have
they-
longer lifespans than humans.
I'm trying to
but-
figure out who's immortal in this.
Only the
Elves.
Maya.
No, I'm sorry. Who's
Elves?
mortal? Sorry, my bad.
elves
Dwarves
are not immortal.
Elves are immortal.
No, they're not.
They're
They leave in the boat. They go to Valinor.
No, they go to the undying lands.
Yeah.
But
they're
that's
not
a-
immortal. They're
that's- they go-
slowly mortal.
Yeah.
Like super
Fine.
thousands of tens,
Okay,
hundreds.
But they
maybe.
still they leave. I don't know if they go and they I don't think their existence ever ends when they.
Why
go
would
to
anybody
Valinor.
want to fucking go to that? Why did Frodo and them go to
I feel
that?
like it's
at
a
the
trap.
end of Lord of
I
the
thought
Rings,
they
it
alluded
seems
to that.
dumb as shit.
It seemed
like
like
let's
it
end
was,
my life at
it seemed
20
like
or
what
whatever.
What he was doing to
I
her.
thought it was a bad thing. I'm sorry, go ahead. But I'm
He-
just saying,
It
I thought
seemed
it was
like
a bad
what he was
thing.
doing to her was more of a punishment than an honor. Like
was like shutting her up.
Like it was glazed over. To
Yeah,
be,
but
right.
But do you
but
think
not
it's one
even
of
that.
those
Even when they was going into it,
non-self-fulfilling
remember they was
prophecies?
sitting there and like they was going into the light and all that. I didn't feel that confident that it was a good thing on the other side of that.
No,
I just
when it
heard
closed afterwards, that looked evil as shit.
That's what I'm saying. Like I'm
Like
thinking,
that, the redness of the sky, like that looked
like
evil.
think about how
I
crazy.
don't. She did not get the vibe that it was a good thing.
Yeah, no,
She's
she
like, I gotta
definitely
get the
didn't want to
fuck
go.
out of here.
She definitely didn't want to go. But I
The way she looked at him, even during the ceremony, when he said what was happening, she was like, "Oh, I know what you're doing,
Yeah, you
motherfucker.
getting me the fuck
And if
out of
I
here."
fucking
Yeah.
flip out right now, I'm gonna look like an asshole.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I gotta stand here and accept this honor.
Like it's an
from
honor,
you.
exactly.
Right.
She had to
But
sit
no,
there and take that
when I
shit.
watched it, the first shit I thought about, because like I said, we already know Galadriel, her motivation for staying behind. We get that. But the presentation of crossing over to the Undying Lands felt like
It wasn't.
the island, where it's like
Yeah.
you're gonna go and live on this in this paradise, but realistically, we're gonna go harvest your organs and dump your ass in the trash somewhere. And it felt like this might not be the thing that they
It
think
didn't
it is.
feel like a
it didn't feel like
reward.
a
It
really
felt like
good thing.
who would
And-
opt
and the
for
first
that?
thing that I thought about, the first
They
thing I
live
thought about
basically
was
forever.
they sent Frodo and them asses over there
Yeah.
at the end of the Lord
And
of
it was
the
supposed to
But
be.
they were like 15. I mean, what are they doing?
They sent their asses over
They're like,
there,
we're
bro.
done forever? They're going to live for a shit
No,
ton
I
of
mean,
years.
no, that's. I think Frodo, like technically, Frodo, like in the book,
Mm-hmm.
is like 50 something.
It took that many
Oh, yeah.
years to do the.
Well, no,
Hobbits
that was
get
in the
old.
beginning, like when he first started, like it was.
Oh,
it was Bilbo's
okay.
111th birthday.
I didn't realize
Bilbo
he
was
was-
like
Yeah, hobbits are
50
old.
Something. They're old. They have a longer lifespan than humans, not
I
by
see.
much, but like
So they still
Right.
look young
Am
for
I
a long
tripping,
time.
or are these the hobbits in the show they call them half-foots?
hardfoots.
Hardfoots. yeah.
Because hobbits had not technically appeared in this world.
So these
until the
aren't
Third
hobbits?
Age. No, not technically.
So
they're
I'm
not.
saying, okay, I'm
They might be
watching this.
descendants of
I think they're
them.
the descendants of the hobbits.
Yeah, because they got a Hobbit naming convention. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
and I'm sitting there
Right.
listening, watching. and
That's
I'm
why
like,
I'm
"Are these
really
fucking
thoroughly
hobbits?"
enjoying this show is because of all of the deep lore.
I
It
wanted
seems
to
like
call
me,
y'all
it's-
when it-
it's kind of like Game of Thrones was. And of course, they're on at the same time. There's going to be a direct comparison, no matter
Right.
what. It's going to be hard not to do, because of just the look and feel of the shows are similar. You know,
Right.
put up next to
It
each other.
feels well. Here's the thing. I don't think it's necessarily even that. It's just that George R. R. Martin was obviously inspired by J.R.R. Tolkien.
Well, no shit.
You know what I mean? So
Right,
like
right.
a
But
lot
he
of the
decided to
themes
add
are going to
this-
be taken
right,
from it.
but he
That's
decided
why.
to add like this more like adult,
Right.
layer.
That's
to
why I
it.
connected that White Walkers to Sauron disappearing and hiding and gaining strength kind of thing because like
Sure.
he's obviously stealing tropes from
Right. So like,
J.R.R.
so what
Tolkien.
they say, like when they say that like the White Walkers were hiding for like thousands of years.
yeah.
Like, at the point that we're hit in this Lord of the Rings show, Sauron has already gone into hiding after the defeat of
The
Morgoth.
point from her being a kid to her growing up, Galadriel, right?
Yeah, but her
No.
her
That's
lifespan
thousands
not-
of
no, no, no.
years.
Yeah, but that's what I was about to say. Her lifespan isn't the
No,
measuring
I get
rod
that.
for that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's,
Right.
it's
So
But
when
just,
she was a kid when that happened.
When they show her,
and then she was a grown up.
when they show her as a kid,
no.
they show her as a kid. This is before
Mm-hmm.
the first, like when she says, "I have been fighting this evil since before the first sunrise."
Right.
blood-
When she
bloody
was a kid, it
sky."
was that tree.
The tree was the sunlight.
Yeah.
So then the tree was destroyed, and that was created the sunrise and sunset
Okay.
of this world per se. Was that
Right.
him destroying that tree, Morgoth? So like, and then they went and they fought this war. Like she said, like, this war took thousands and thousands of years. Like they fought against Morgoth. So like, yeah, they could have expanded more on that.
And
I
she,
agree
but
with you there.
so she was a kid before that Morgoth fight started. That's all I was
Yes,
getting at.
and then her brother
And then she
went-
was an adult
her
by the
brother
time we
went-
came back to her when she was stabbing into the ice, climbing up.
She was, but she had.
But
at
that's
the time,
thousands of years. I get it.
thousands of-
Yeah, I totally get that. I was just clarifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's that one thing. Before I even
So like I'm saying, like
acknowledged
so the
it.
point we're I'm sorry, the point we've reached. My bad is that I didn't finish making my point. The point that we reached now is like he's already
yell at him.
He's already been in hiding. They haven't found him for thousands and thousands
Right.
and thousands of years. So like he's
He's hidden his past so well that she's the only one to even be close to it.
even yeah.
Yeah, it's almost
And
like
she's
Luke,
way
So
behind.
the fight,
it's almost like Luke Skywalker's a legend at this point.
where she
Right.
goes and fights the snow troll.
Right.
That place was the same place they show him in. That brief scene where you see him with the staff and the army around him. That's
Right.
the same place. So she caught up to him there. They've been gone.
Yeah.
You know.
Again, they're in the Southlands at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And
So like I feel like somebody's working with them to
And I
hide
think
them.
Sauron is hiding them somewhere from the shadows. He's working. He's going to be a character in the show.
I hope
and
so.
we're gonna find out. We're gonna.
I need to see him do some dope shit.
Sauron the whole time. Like I think like it's going to be something like that. Like
I
they're
want
hiding
to see him do some dope shit,
as
but
a
I just want to
character.
acknowledge the couple people we got over here in the chat.
Sure, what you got?
Real quick, Jesse and Kenny, they was just saying. Jesse was just saying she's gonna go back and watch the replay to catch everything she missed. Jesse, just don't forget we doing 2 episodes today. So right now we're doing the Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power, and we did an episode earlier today, Game of Thrones.
Yeah, House of the Dragon. Episode 3.
And for Kenny, he says Rings of Power any good? I think it's pretty damn dope.
Yeah, it's interesting and it's visually stunning.
Absolutely.
I love the yellow-leafed trees. I don't know why that's so pretty
I mean,
to
like
me.
that point where
but
she jumps and she sticks that knife into the ice. Like
was
that
gorgeous, yeah.
absolutely
I
gorgeous.
want to say I like how, and this is not a comment on the quality of the writing because I think the writing is top.
we're talking
already,
visually,
but
essentially.
Visually, that's why exactly. It was visually. I was telling Jeremy the other day, I saw the ice troll, and I don't know how often you guys watch Lord of the Rings. I'm one of those guys that like to watch the same stuff all over again just to re-experience it. And just the cave troll that they fought, the quality in the CG is like it's like head and shoulders above.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, Amazon, you won me
I
over.
get where they
'Cause
got
I
their
was scared.
$5 billion budget
Exactly,
or
because I
whatever.
was scared, bro. I was like,
So,
Amazon gonna fuck
since
this
we're
up.
bringing up the other movies real quick, I just want to touch on the fact I was interested to see. Technically, this is a prequel, but it cannot, because of naming rights, it cannot be named directly a prequel to Peter Jackson's movies. They are technically unrelated.
What do you mean? Why do you mean technically it can't
Because
It's like the
they
MCU
don't-
all over again.
Amazon owns the television rights to Lord of the Rings, not the movie rights that Peter Jackson and whoever's.
be? But they
Paramount
can make it as similar as they want, can't they?
The director said that they took a lot of inspiration from Peter Jackson's movie, but the farther they got into making it, the further they got from it being
To where it
directly
would make
related,
sense.
where they would even reference or like those movies per se.
And the irony, I think, and like I was telling Jeremy when he told me
You know what I'm
about
saying?
that, the
Yes,
thing
it
that's
does
beautiful.
have a very good look, similar feel. Sorry, man. Go ahead.
But
Well, it's
no,
just
like
it's
I was
thousands
telling
of years later.
Well,
so
like I
why
was
would they
telling
reference
Jeremy,
it?
the thing that's beautiful about it is this isn't.
Oh,
this
there's
this
elves.
won't be an MCU type of situation.
Okay.
Because in the MCU, you have Sony, Universal, and Fox. They had all of these rights split up, and then in the comic books, you had like a boatload of different iterations of each character. So you had this Earth's Hulk, this Earth's,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? So everybody was different. So when you make those movies, sometimes it's disjointed and things don't match up. The thing that's beautiful about this is even though they don't have the rights to make it like it's a direct prequel to Lord of the Rings, nothing about the Lord of the Rings books has changed.
Right.
If they're gonna stick with the source materials, it's gonna match up.
Right. Well, but they.
You know what I mean?
Unless they're
They have-
not.
But they have created
Now, if
characters.
they go off,
Because
that Theo and the woman and the Grey Worm elf, I forget,
I don't know his
Aemir,
name.
whatever his name is.
I'm
are
not
all-
gonna remember none of these
but they're-
names for
But they're all
For a minute,
characters
yeah.
that were added. They were made up for this show, specifically for the show. They were not written into any books.
Yeah, but the specific plot beats like Lord Elrond, like we said,
Celebrimbor.
Celebrimbor and stuff like that. When I saw Celebrimbor, I was like, I got excited because it's like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
We going back to where he got the sauce. You know what I'm saying? Like this is the guy who reforged Narsil. And what did he learn how to do this type of shit? He worked under Celebrimbor at some point.
Right.
You know, now we see how
Can I just point out you're as excited about that as I would have been about the same thing for what's his name for Sauron. That's all I was saying.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to see that same
Yeah.
shit that you're talking.
Yeah, but they gonna show that. I mean, you ain't seen
Okay,
shit yet.
I'm cool with that then.
I think you're
fucking
getting,
great.
You're
But also,
you're saying I want to see Sauron's rise to power or something like
Just
that.
something before he was the guy.
You are getting that.
Oh,
I think
great.
that's
Then I'm
currently
fucking
what's
stoked.
happening. Like I said, I think one of the characters that they're gonna make us either like fall in love with or be
Mm-hmm.
like really affectionate to or a fan of is gonna be Sauron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's gonna be the one that's hiding. He's going to be.
And you don't think
He's a god. He can change his shape.
for some reason, I had this vibe that Galadriel was like. I'm hoping that they're not really going with that because she's hunting him. She's giving him power bullshit.
But
like
dude,
that
it's a
doesn't.
si-
I don't buy that for a
He
second.
wouldn't need
right?
nothing from it. He's a goddamn
Right? That
god.
doesn't make any sense. Like,
a
oh,
god.
he's only gonna still exist
that-
because you're
but-
chasing him.
but
What?
What is that? That, like you said, he has that power, but he also feeds on that type of shit, the hatred and the revenge and those types of.
So if
feelings.
she, so
if
is
she
that a
continued-
self-fulfilling
So
prophecy?
almost, I would almost kind of, I kind of
Like, if she had
I
gotten
don't
on
think
the
they're not
boat
bringing it up
and
for
stayed on
just
it.
to throw it away. I think they're bringing it at, and they've mentioned that because that's going to specifically be what's happening.
So, like, if she stays on the boat in theory, then and goes into the thing, does
He
that
maybe
mean
lose-
Sauron never
well,
becomes what he became? Like, I
don't
know that
yet.
didn't
Well,
happen.
I don't know yet. I don't know yet. But maybe she
I
could
just-
just be feeding it. But it's already, I think it's already at the point where she's leaving. It's already to a point of no return. You
For
know what I'm
her
saying?
or for other
for
people?
the for Sauron turning.
Because
into
that
what
one
he's
dude
turning
that she
into.
found on the boat
I'm
was
saying he's already
against
had,
him.
like I said, thousands of years building up this shit. We don't know what he's got. Those orcs are mining under thing. We don't have no idea. He's been
So the
keeping everything-
hatred isn't the key factor. Is
Not,
basically
not,
what I was getting at.
not entirely. No.
Right. He's
But,
still
like-
building his army,
right.
regardless of if she hates
No, I
him
don't
or
think
not.
I don't think the hatred so much powers Sauron. If I'm not mistaken, it
It just seemed like a
it-
shitty
it-
move from
it-
whoever
it-
said
it-
that. I
it-
can't remember.
it enables him
The
to
king.
better control people, but the power was already there. Is what I'm saying. Like it's not a point.
Yeah, but by
Even-
destroying Morgoth, you would think that like his power was diminished in some way, which forced him into
His
a hiding
influence.
state.
His influence.
Right.
Because they never imply that any of the people ever lose their power. Like there's never been a point in any of the Lord of the Rings stuff I've seen.
But they destroyed
That-
Morgoth, right?
I don't think Morgoth is dead. Let me see.
Do you think
Look it
that's
up.
going to be like a
I think
like
that's
a
what- like that-
Sauron thing where he's never really destroyed, even though you think he is?
Well, that was like they also have.
Because
Like,
I'd be fine with
you know
that
where they
too.
said like the people that live, it still like followed him. Like, those-
Morgoth.
yeah, you like the town that she lives in, and the elf was in, like
Right.
the town that sided with Morgoth.
Okay.
And they still, that's why the elves were there, was to watch over these people who sided with Morgoth. But they watched over them for generations and generations and
Okay.
generations, and then finally, right at the end, like you said, they're recalled after thousands of years of being in the Watchtower and watching over these Southlanders.
Right.
Who, the Southlanders is not a term I remember being. I think that's where Mordor is going to be stemming from.
Yeah, I think that
He's
whole.
going-
I think the
they're
other thing that.
mining under it, they're creating
Right.
their. He's like I said, it's a slow burn. He's creating all of this shit to pop up as this.
Dude, I think they're building the fucking tower for him.
The tower is the forge in which the rings will be forged in.
Oh, I was thinking they were building Sauron's tower.
Oh, that tower. Yeah, no, he's building a forge.
I just think it might eventually become
Could be.
Sauron's tower.
Sure.
Like it felt like, oh shit,
That
that's
could-
where they're
right,
going with
right.
that. You want me to run through a couple random bullshit I wrote down here? So like her stacking the helmets was the most ridiculous fucking thing in the whole show. Like she went up to it and she stacked the helmet on the side. Who stacked the one on the top? It was 30 feet up. What are it's like this one at human height is the last one you're putting on, and the other ones were.
She jumped.
And let me just jump. let me just jump back real quick.
Gently laid it on the top.
Do you got anything for
Let
that?
me just. So I told you.
Oh, were you going back to
I
Morgoth?
just want to explain some stuff because remember I said this in the beginning, but I wanted to make sure I was 100% correct.
Okay.
We are dealing with immortals. Okay. Morgoth
Does
is not-
immortal mean that they were always here,
Yeah.
or that
but
they
that's
just
the
live
implication.
forever once they were born?
There's a
That's the
beginning.
what-
Because
first
God,
age is the
like they
beginning.
say, God, it was always here.
There is
So,
a beginning
Hold
because
on,
there is
hold
one deity at the top.
Right, but again,
but they live forever once they're born.
but that's I don't know about them being born. No, I'm saying
Fair
it's,
enough.
It's an inconsequential
We
question.
don't
And in dealing with this, we're talking about immortals. They cannot die. Period. Morgoth never died. He never was killed.
Okay, so they cannot die.
He
So
can't
how did
die.
they beat him then?
The Valar exiled him permanently from the world.
That's right.
He's exiled.
They said that in the show.
So this is why I was saying what I was saying in the first place, which is, and not to first of all, everybody got to watch it and enjoy it the way they enjoy it and take it in the way they want to take it in. But for me, it helps to know what we're dealing with so we can know what kind of timelines we're talking about so we know why the story is presented the way it is. Because if you present the story in a 45 to hour-long episode and we're talking about tens of thousands of years and we're dealing with immortals, these 10,000s of years is a lifetime for an elf, but it's a blink of an eye for an immortal. So when you're talking about people like Sauron, Gandalf, and people like these people live,
hiding for thousands.
we're talking about billions of years. These people they don't see death. Morgoth is banished but not dead. So Sauron, there's not going to be a point in which we're going to see. That's what I was trying to get to when I was saying it in the first place. There'll never be a thing where we're thinking of a rise to power like any other conventional thinking, where we're looking at like a drug lord or something, and they go and take over the streets, and now they got influence, and no, it's none of that. I'm just here forever.
But isn't he going from henchman to mob boss? Like Sauron, if he was a henchman for Morgoth,
If he was fighting,
when Morgoth got banished,
I
he
would say
became
this.
the dude,
I would say
right?
This. I would say this: if he was fighting Morgoth, then that would be
No, he was fighting for Morgoth.
no.
wasn't he?
Hear what I'm saying? I said if he was fighting Morgoth, that would matter. You understand what I'm saying? Because then we're talking about power, rising, getting stronger, stuff like that. But what I'm saying is this.
Well, when that power
this is an
vacuum
absolute-
occurred, he
I'm saying this is
became
an
the
absolute
dude.
state. I'm super powerful. I'm evil. I'm doing evil shit. It don't matter who's standing behind me. He can't die either. I can't die either.
But Morgoth is
So-
gone essentially at this
Yeah.
point, and then Sauron becomes the new Morgoth. That's all I'm
Not
saying.
really.
He had to
He's
go
just
from,
Sauron.
but he wasn't the guy. He was a guy working for the guy, and then
Yeah.
once the guy got banished, he
Right.
became the guy.
And
That's
the only reason why,
transition of power I'd like to see.
and the only reason why any of this matters is because we're telling the story from the perspective of man. So man is on experiencing these
Yeah.
undying conflicts in their short time span. So from their perspective, it's like, yeah, all right, who cares? They all immortal. They all super powerful. We can't beat
I
them.
mean, they literally showed it to us. That's the only reason I'm asking about it. Like,
Yeah.
they showed us
So, no,
Morgoth losing, so they could have shown us Sauron before Morgoth lost and been like, oh, this is who he was to Morgoth.
but then
and
that
then
would-
Morgoth is gone, and now it's like, well, fuck, I'm the dude now.
But that would just
brushed
beg,
all
that
over
would,
just
that
went-
really,
yeah.
it
But
was
then
really
it would beg the
fast.
next question. We'll be like, okay, the Valar that defeated Morgoth, why didn't they just stick around and get rid of everybody that was with him? It would. I mean, from a storytelling convention, that's all I'm saying. Like, if I'm telling the story, I'm gonna have to leave that one open. I'm gonna have to leave it the fuck alone. I wouldn't tell you that part of the story because it's gonna beg the question. If I'm the Valar who went up against Morgoth
Uh-huh.
and was like, "You too evil for this world. We want this world to be this Middle Earth to be." Okay, I'm gonna defeat you and then I'm gonna banish you. Okay, there's your lieutenant. Well, the common sense thing would be to like, okay, all y'all little evil asses, get the fuck out of here, because it would be easier to do than beating Morgoth. But then we wouldn't have a story.
Right?
It would have ended in 5 seconds. Like it would have opened up. Morgoth was defeated, and then we all went for ice cream. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I gotta give him a
to
little.
be
I'm just
fair,
saying, I gotta give him a
logical
little
inconsistencies aren't a good enough reason to just be like, don't
I'm just
show
saying,
us
give-
any of it.
No,
Like,
I don't know. I'm
because
just
they
saying we gonna
fucked up
beg
in
more
their
questions.
story gap.
Oh yeah, I mean, listen.
That's
man.
on them. I didn't
He's
write
the-
this
he's
shit.
the OG. He had to write this shit back in the day. He had nobody else handing him nothing, man. He couldn't tell you why the Valar.
No,
wouldn't
I
have
genuinely
got
think
rid of him.
George R. R. Martin took a lot of stuff
A lot of people did.
from this shit.
A lot of
Yeah.
people did.
Like,
a lot
it's
of our
obvious.
fantasy. a
And
lot of
I
our
love it
fantasy
too,
comes
by
from
the
that.
way. I don't mind at all. Like getting inspired by some of this shit.
No,
Fucking go
absolutely
for it.
not. Yeah,
I don't think that's
100%.
cheap or nothing.
Well, I
No,
mean,
a lot of our
like,
fantasy stuff comes from. Lord of the
I
Rings.
agree with you. Yes, a lot of it does, and that's why like it's like I think about halfway through the first episode, maybe even the second episode, like when they go into Moria and like they're talking about the dwarves and in the mountain, and like it's just like all of this like super familiar high fantasy shit that I
Right.
grew up with, that like Game of Thrones kind of like not shit on, but twisted in a way that was awesome.
right?
You know what I'm saying? But like this, it was like, wow, it was like a return to familiarity with.
Where it was
this-
kind of nice as opposed to like just like evil for the sake of it.
well, yeah,
brutal
you-
for the
like, you don't
sake of
have-
it.
yeah, You don't have that type of thing. It's more like like the good versus evil kind of struggle. Where Game of Thrones kind of like
blurred
wrote
those
like
lines.
blurred those
Yeah.
lines and made it, and it's more celestial, way more magical than Game of Thrones.
Was that symbol
Wow.
relevant from Lord of the Rings?
No,
That's new.
yeah, it's new.
Okay, just asking.
That whole character of the sword, all of that stuff, I believe, is all new.
I like that whole search bit, them finding the castle. That was all fun shit.
Yeah.
Like them going north for all that.
Dude.
The mirror wall breaking felt very Doctor Strange
The mirror wall break.
when she went into the castle and she like broke through the mirrored wall. Like it
Oh,
felt
when
very
she
Doctor
punched it,
Strange
yeah.
in the Multiverse of Madness.
Okay.
Them all living and hiding in the trees reminded me of Hook and the Rufio kids.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. The Lost Boys.
Yeah.
Eating imaginary food.
Okay, I already talked about Sauron being like the White Walkers, hiding, gathering strength. Elrond is young Ned Stark. You mentioned that
Yeah,
earlier.
yeah.
Yeah, that was. I mean, like you see it in the eye
As
region.
soon as he said it, I was like, "Oh shit, yeah, okay."
Yeah.
I didn't even notice.
So they dismissed the search and saying Morgoth is dead. And then the way they said it in the council to her when he crowned her and all that shit, like what a bullshit attack. The way they came at her with that, with
Yeah.
Galadriel, that was like such bullshit. And they said Grey Havens to be blessed to the blessed realm of the Undying Lands. Why would you want that? Isn't that a shitty gift from the king? You're essentially immortal. And they're like, fuck off to this other place.
Yeah, no,
It's a prize.
it
So I don't
is-
get to live?
It's a layered thing.
Maybe it's some
it's a
dope
it's
ice
a,
cream or something. I don't know.
It was not. It was not. It was
To me, I would
present-
never take
It
it.
was presented as an honor, and like I said before, she had to stand there and take it because for the rest of everybody, elfdom to witness her freak out and say, "I don't want this," would be
Yeah.
really bad. But the way she is, she's a warrior.
I just don't
She
get
would rather
giving
be
up
put-
like Frodo and
She
them
would
did.
rather be put in the bark of those trees that she was standing in
Right.
than go to that land of the Undying.
Yeah. What is the
she
point?
would right. She's yeah, I like her character a lot. I liked her character. She's Kate Blanchett in The Lord of the Rings, plays Galadriel. I've always liked her character
Okay.
from then, and just like this show to me it's giving it way more celestial, way more of a magical world than even the original movies did. The movies,
Right.
like a lot of the shit, it was more took place at a time where that stuff was like legendary.
So-
and magic was all but gone from the world. Like
So in Hobbiton or Hobbitown, whatever you say, when Gandalf showed up and did the fireworks, that was magic, right?
right.
So were the fireworks in the celebration for whatever? Was that magic too?
Probably would think somewhere along the same lines.
Or is that because like I was thinking we were getting our first Gandalf in the dude, the Targaryen Comet guy, Comet Targaryen.
Well, no, I think the elves, they're magic.
So magic already exists.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
Which before you move to that next point, which is what I'm confused about. And it's not the show; it's the lore, how it's written. The Valar are the gods. The Maya are the angels. Each of the Maya are raised in a different realm. They don't really say realm. They
And
say
again, that was
land.
from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, this is
You've-
part of their lore.
Okay, I'm just trying to figure out where that came
The
from.
Maya are living with the Valar in different lands. Each land has a different name.
But
'Cause
they're
I was
living
talking to
together?
Jeremy. Yeah, and I was talking to Jeremy, and I was saying, I thought we never really get confirmation on how the Maya comes to Middle Earth, like Gandalf,
Okay.
Sauron.
Well, like how we
how the-
saw the
how the-
characters in
yeah,
this
so
come
this
to Middle
this
Earth.
guy came in the comments, so we thinking obviously that this might be Gandalf, Radagast, somebody like that, or even Sauron or whatever.
Saruman, yeah.
But this is my problem, and this could be a fault of the writing. This is the type of shit that sticks out to me. why wouldn't Gandalf and Saruman and Radagast and Sauron and all of these people be there at the same time? Because Sauron was there with Morgoth. Sauron and Gandalf are the same thing. Like they present Sauron as this big towering.
What do you mean they're the same thing? Like
they're
were the
both
same
Maya.
guy? Oh, I see.
They're
what
both
you mean.
Maya.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is, were they created like down the line to fight Sauron eventually or something like that? Because it doesn't make sense that they wouldn't all be here at the same time. If that, like, I'm having a hard time understanding
I'm
how.
not sure.
I feel like you're asking a similar question to what I was asking about Sauron.
But I'm
there
saying,
has to
like,
be a starting
if I'm giving
point for
you
Gandalf,
the thing that
right?
Sauron is here,
But there
I'm
has to be a
saying,
beginning to
where's
that.
Gandalf in this?
Right.
Like, why wouldn't he be alive back then?
See, I see what you're talking about when you're saying gods, like like the Valar.
Right.
Those are the beings I think that you're talking about they're there, beginning and end.
The Valar.
Powerful.
Yeah.
The Maya are different. They are.
The Maya
created-
are different, right?
So so that Sauron is not a Valar. Sauron is a Maya.
No.
So then
Sauron is a Maya.
So that he was created somewhere.
Yeah, he was created by Morgoth.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I can't remember the, like, listen, forgive me. I've been reading up on this stuff. I've been studying a little bit. I cannot remember the name of the Valar that created Gandalf and all the others. But Melkor was the Valar who turned to darkness and became Morgoth.
Right.
Sauron came from him. Just as a balance, I don't understand how the other Valar who have Maya don't send them to Middle Earth to help.
We could be seeing that happen.
Right now, that's what I was
currently.
saying. Like, okay, if that's him flying in on the comet, or if it's one of them flying in on the
That's who
comet,
flying in on the comet.
Gandalf,
or somebody
one of the
similar.
other
Another-
wizards or something.
yeah.
If that's them flying in on the comet, where was they at 10,000? Because we already 10,000 years deep.
Right.
Maybe
this
they
story.
just came into the world.
That's what
Like,
I know.
isn't
they
that
did.
interesting
Well,
if they did? Like,
yeah,
they're immortal, but
I
they just
But what I'm
got
saying
here.
from a logic standpoint, if I'm reading this, I'm sitting here like, why they always so goddamn long? But then at the same time, like I said
Maybe
earlier,
they just fell
for
into
them
it.
it's a blink of an eye. You know what I'm saying? It's a
Right.
blink of an eye because
Right.
when you're dealing on the scale of forever, 10,000 years ain't shit. It's the same as 1 second. You know what I'm saying? So
I
don't
mean,
know.
we see it in our main character, but beyond that, I see your point.
No, I would have liked
We
to
see her
I
go
would-
from
I would
kid
have liked
to-
to see the old because I even thought about that when I was watching the Lord of the Rings because I wasn't as versed on the lore. So when I,
I didn't
first
know
watched
anything about the similarity or the
Silmarillion,
Silmarillion.
Yeah.
When I was into the Lord. Of the
I was under the impression that the elves lived longer than Gandalf and them. I thought Gandalf and Saruman was just regular ass wizards. That's just dudes that practice magic, and they like went to a school or something. So when I was watching it, and we saw Lord Elrond back in the day fighting alongside what was the king at the time? I can't remember his name.
Isildur.
Isildur.
Yeah.
And they was fighting, and Isildur got the ring, you know, after his father fell or whatever. I'm like, damn, Elrond old as shit. He was way back then. So
what's their
it was
lifespan?
presented.
Do we know?
I know they lived
Is
tens
it
of thousands.
tens of thousands
They
or
lived
hundreds
tens
of thousands or?
The implication in the show was, or implication in the movies was that the Undying Lands is where they went to not die, and the fact
Right.
that it's tied to the Undying Lands, that leads me to believe that naturally, if you didn't go there, you would eventually die.
You would die.
Here.
You know, eventually.
Oh, that was happening, literally happening to Liv Tyler's character.
Well, she gave her grace away
Right.
to Aragorn.
That's where the elves were leaving. Their time
Right.
in this world was over.
Right.
They said they were
He
leaving.
did say that.
Yeah. But they weren't going. So that's where I'm unclear. Like, okay, so like if an elf just stays here, what's the lifespan? Because Galadriel didn't. She's not going.
She ain't going nowhere.
She didn't go anywhere. She made it all the way to the Lord of the
Did
Rings
she-
movie.
But wait,
Right.
did she go in the end?
In Lord of the Rings,
She didn't get
did
out.
leave. She went to the Undying Lands.
With
She was in
everybody.
them. She was marching in the forest with them.
So then I'm unclear as far as the life.
So we need somebody that's a nerd
tell us what a lifespan
for the
is.
Silmarillion,
That's why I
who
think
knows
elves,
the
I think
answers
the
to these
elves
questions?
are immortal, but they're not the same.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. If you're immortal, why go to the undead?
No, they're not immortal though. They just live forever, but not forever. Like not for real forever. Like
Hey, but no,
to us, it would
It was
feel
the
like
la-
forever. Is what
it was
I mean.
it was the last.
Like if it was hundreds of thousands of years, that sounds like forever to us.
Right.
But like to them, that's their natural lifespan.
That's what I was saying, because once you say the undying,
I don't think
lands,
they live
it-
to a
to
million
me, it
years old.
implies that you're not gonna
Right
live
there, you're
forever.
gonna go and you're gonna live forever.
But if you go there, you'll live forever.
But as whatever age you go as,
Yeah,
which
I'm
is
not-
the
I'm-
weird thing to me.
Which
not
is weird
sure.
because they have different ages for different races in the thing. Because like even we didn't touch on it too much, but I did kind of mention it a little bit earlier. Like Aragorn in the movies, he's like 82 years old.
Yeah, but he's a different race.
Right,
per
that's what I'm
se.
saying. That's
he's
what I'm
still
saying.
a man,
Different-
but he's like there's I forget what they're called, but they do live slightly
Yeah.
longer than regular normal men.
Who's that?
Aragorn.
Okay.
The main Viggo
Yeah,
Mortensen.
because he was old, right?
Yeah, he was
like-
80-some years
He was
old in the
80
Lord of the
something years
Rings.
old, but he only looked like he was in his 30s.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so
I'm
he
saying
would
he's-
probably lived at 300,
Forget what they
400 maybe.
call it. Something like that. Yes. Elves live like seemingly like they don't.
Has to be tens of thousands
They
of years.
give a different timeline for each race, because even when you look at the Hobbits was living like 100, 200 maybe.
Right.
Right.
But then
But look at the dwarves. That
I
dude
think
was
they wasn't
pissed
supposed
because
to
he
even-
disappeared for 20 years.
Yeah, but see, I think the dwarves' lifespans are still longer than
Human?
regular humans.
like I think so I think dwarves still live hundreds of years.
I need somebody with the Silmarillion knowledge.
Yeah, we
I don't
need-
want to
we need
read
to
this
know
whole
all
damn
these
thing.
things.
Y'all got to answer these questions for us, man. Somebody see this video,
So-
please comment some answers.
Am I the only one that the theme music just doesn't have the same emotional grip as the Lord of the Rings did?
I am lazy and I hit the skip once the little skip thing come up, so I haven't
No, I
even
mean
heard it.
it was okay. The opening was unimpressive.
It didn't like hit me the way
vibrating rocks.
it
and the
was
shapes,
fine
was okay,
looking, but
but
like the music just didn't hit me the same way the Lord of the Rings did.
no.
I don't even think I remember the Lord of the Rings music.
You would know it if you heard it.
Yeah.
Like that swelling, like
Yeah.
it's good shit.
It
You would know the like tune of it if
I'm
you
gonna
heard
play
it.
it in the car on the way home,
Okay.
but I really can't. It didn't.
I laughed my ass off at elves being stereotypically handsome.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why that was funny to me, but like just them
The only
mentioning
ugly
that.
people, only ugly people in fantasy shows and movies are bartenders, people who have been diseased, or rapists.
Right.
Whoever gonna like slide up on the fair young maiden while she on the trail or something, like, what's up? What do we have here? A chip chip cheerio or some shit. That guy's gonna be ugly. You understand
Okay.
what I'm saying? The bartender, he's definitely gonna be ugly. The dude at the end and be like, what do you want? All we got is L. You know what I'm saying? That guy's ugly. Period. They don't put ugly people in these shows.
Yeah.
No, old
But
guys.
he was just saying, like, in the lore of the show, like, inside of the show, they mentioned the fact that the elves...
Oh, they actually
Yeah,
said that?
Yeah, they said that. She goes, "Oh, you're an elf. You must be cute then," or something, like something
Yes.
like that. And I'm like, "Oh shit, elves are stereotypically adorable."
I
The
caught
elves
that
are
too,
the
yeah.
elves
Or
are
handsome.
the elves are the Targaryens.
Right.
The elves are sort of like
They like slick your hair back.
superheroes
Let 'em know.
of this kind of thing.
Right.
You really like for like they live.
They're a bunch of
forever.
Captain
They're
Americas.
capable of more things in combat than regular people.
Right.
Are. Some of them capable of magic
Right.
per se. You know, like
Some elves do magic, yeah.
So they
showed
left
that.
it all on Elrond or Elrod, or is it Elrond?
Elrond.
Ron.
Elrond. To go and figure out what they were going to do to build this thing in a record amount of time. So he went to the dwarves, talked to his friend. The dude was pissed.
I thought that was dope.
Yeah, that was.
was
I mean, can you imagine the amount of structural engineering that went into that shit underneath the mountain?
Oh yeah.
That's
Like
what the
that's
dwarves are known for.
unbelievable.
I think that was
That was
a
my
pay-
first thought. Like, whoa.
that was a payoff for
do
me
you-
because
Super cool.
when
Because that shit was like abandoned when we saw it.
yeah,
before,
that's what I was
right?
about to say. For me, that was a payoff because when I can't remember his name right now.
Gimli?
Gimli was walking in and he was talking about
Gamley or Gamely or something like that was the name of this dude's kid. One of his two kids was like Gamley.
So
And it was
that
like,
might
that's
be his
pretty
granddad
close
or
to
something.
Gimli.
Well,
But yeah, he
we
was
know
talking-
Gimli is Gimli, son of Gloim.
Gloim, yeah.
so
But he
the-
was talking
the
about
Just
how
saying, it's many
he
layers.
was walking
down,
in. He was
potentially.
walking in talking about how
Oh, that was
dope it was
Achilles.
gonna be.
Family member.
He
Yeah.
was walking in talking about how dope it was gonna be. Like, yeah, you mean wait till you get some meat and all good. And man, walked in, he's like, where all these skeletons come from,
Yeah.
baby? And Gandalf was like, this shit messed up, baby. Let's get
Told
the fuck,
you we should not
let's
have
get the
come
fuck
here.
out of here.
The map system looks very much like Game of Thrones.
I think they
Like
again,
I'm sure Game of
taking-
Thrones took from that, but like, dude, it's really
No, I'm
striking
saying-
how similar it is. When they're passing across the map, that looks like fucking Game of Thrones.
Yeah, but
exactly.
But they took the old title card from Game of Thrones, going over the map, and just kind of incorporated it into the show. They didn't make that the opening. They put
Correct.
that into the show. They don't do that in Game
But
of
it
Thrones.
feels
You're
so
like,
similar, right?
yeah. So again, this
You're
is
right,
taking
yeah.
inspiration from something that
One's
worked.
taking inspiration from the other, and then the other's using their original shit, but it looks like they're taking inspiration from the show that preceded it.
Well, they are. They're taking the
Yeah.
way that it was presented. That is definitely inspired by the Game of
Also,
Thrones.
people ain't that creative, man. I just want to point out.
It's running out of ideas.
Those maps and all that stuff that look like some shit that we used to do back in the day. So I mean, it's based on human creativity.
Who's the true king? Somebody mentioned that. Who's the true king?
The true king of what?
They just said the
Middle
true
Earth.
king. Who the fuck
you're
is
talking
that?
about the little dude in the bar that are
Yeah.
king. Well, he is a follower of Morgoth,
So Morgoth is the king?
or
I'm waiting for you to say it. I'm like, wait a minute.
Sauron, could be, or is he talking about like a king of man?
I was just
I'm
curious if
thinking they
we
was
knew what
talking
he was
about
talking
King of
about.
Man because I wanted to ask about that timeline now. That battle that we saw in this show,
Which one?
the battle where
Her brother
Galadriel's brother died.
Yeah. Okay. That's the battle with that was one of the battles with Morgoth's forces.
Okay, so that was Morgoth.
Yes.
So this is what, like 10,000, 20,000 before Isildur?
I think we're in the age in which we can see Isildur. We might meet him as a character in the show.
Okay. So then we might not be that, because Aragorn being 80 some odd year, I think he was like 83, and
I think we'll
Isildur was how far back behind him as a descendant? I mean, as an ancestor?
I don't know.
They just kept saying Isildur's heir, but they never really said how many generations removed he was.
Right.
I'm wondering how close we are, because, I mean, that's weird.
Well,
Because
I'm
when they
saying-
said the true king,
I'm
the
saying
first
I-
thing that popped in my head was
Isildur-
Aragorn, and I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't
think
even make
we'll
sense.
I think we'll meet Isildur as a character on the show,
Okay.
right? And he'll be one of the leaders of men, one of the more powerful groups of men. personally.
No, technically he shouldn't be.
I'm not saying king.
He should be. Oh yeah, I was about to
leader.
say he should
He's
be
a general.
No, I'm saying he should be
Oh.
under his father
Right.
because
Should
his
be-
father was the one.
Be the prince. He won't be king yet, right?
Right.
It will be. I think we'll meet him. So that would put us really close to
Yeah,
the battle of the final alliance, which
Which
is the
means if
battle
we
of the
get to see
prologue
that
of the
shit,
Lord of the Rings.
if we
Okay.
get to see that shit at the like maybe 2-3 seasons in, and we actually see them like show that battle in full,
Well, that would be cool, and
I
that
pay
would
good
be
money for that.
Yeah, that would be sweet.
I'll
But
pay
that
good
would
money for
that would lead us directly into the movies,
Right.
per se.
Well, almost, because there's still a time span between them. It's like
There is.
5,000 years before the movies.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that's how long it was. Because Elrond said it
For 2.5
specifically.
thousand years,
It-
the ring passed out of
Yeah,
all memory.
and then
all
Elrond
knowledge.
said specifically, "I was there 5,000 years ago when the strength of man fell. It
Right.
was literally 5,000
Right.
years after that battle."
So like like the time spans of these is just it's crazy, and it like to keep human characters interesting in the show, you have to dumb it down to a certain time period, which means you have to kind of comb over those other things
Right.
to give us these interesting characters that we're going to care about for a whole season of television. You wouldn't be able to give us the human characters because they wouldn't be making it through the timeline.
Right.
You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like,
It'd be
So I know we've kind of touched on this, but just to be clear, when the kids age like elves, do they just age to like 20 something and then they stay there for a while, or do they like super duper slowly go through each young age? Do we know?
Well, I don't know for sure, but like I mean, like what from so if we're taking what we see young Elrond and young Galadriel now, and just for visual representation purposes, what they look like in the movies, yes, they age.
So it's just
Slowly,
continue.
slowly,
So like
slowly.
even through childhood potentially, they're not like 1 to 18 and then
we have
now
never-
we're slowing down
We
kind
have
of
never
thing.
seen like an elf in the Lord of the Rings lore that had like
Go
wrinkles
from-
on his face
I see.
or be like super old. So like
I think they feeding these elves to the goddamn volcano. That'll be some dark shit if we find out.
I would like to. That would
the
be kind of
Undying
cool.
Land is actually
is,
just a way for them to die.
that would be kind
That
of
would
crazy.
be crazy.
Right.
Yeah, because I mean, it
that
almost
would
takes
see-
on a
and that would-
religious aspect. It's like
Right,
heaven.
and that would even put Galadriel further away from that group of elves that did that, that sent her away. You know, 'Cause that's a different group of elves that she's with in the movies. She's with like the
oh
forest.
yeah, yeah.
elves.
She went and found some other
There's
people.
different groups. Like
Okay.
the dude that's on the watchtower. That's a different kind of elf than the High King
Okay.
is. He's a forest elf. He's the same type of people that Legolas comes from.
Right, and even the orcs are elves.
Orcs are
They were elves that was
Corrupted.
tortured for thousands of years,
Corrupted and
then
tortured, right,
eventually
right.
became crazy.
by,
What did we say?
by Morgoth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
What did we say that character Nori was?
Hardfoot.
Hardfoot. Okay.
So like, those are your hobbits, the descendants of the hobbits.
I got to turn the bass down, man. I swear I kept thinking they were saying half foot. I was like, why was she half foot? You got a big long.
I don't think it's Hardfoot. I think it's Harfoot.
Harfoot. Yeah.
Harfoot.
So
So
where's our producer at?
Galadriel she jumped off the raft and then she jumped off the boat and then she got picked up by that raft.
Right.
And that one dude survived the sea snake or whatever the hell they called it.
The worm.
The worm or something like that. Even though it didn't look like a worm, it had big scaly bits like a fish would.
It looked like a fish dragon.
yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
It was
pretty
like,
crazy
oh
looking.
great, they're all dead.
The little glimpse we got below when they went below and it ate everybody.
Yeah,
that was,
that was
That
awesome.
thing is crazy looking. Kaiju, like Pacific Rim
Right.
looking shit. Yeah.
So yeah, and like that stuff with the elf or the dwarf, it makes sense. He would be mad about 20 years. Like, and dude didn't even catch that. That's what it pissed him off.
But he said it. That's kind of what he was like. Well, he's like, oh, has it been 20 years already? Like he said it to him.
No,
like,
he said only 20 years. I figured it would have been more.
yeah, like, and that was like, well, that's why
like,
I'm
motherfucker.
mad, motherfucker. Yeah,
Yeah.
that scene had a lot of emotion in it, and for like new actors and characters that we didn't really know, I thought those two did a good job with that.
It was well
when he
done.
looked up at him and he's like, "You missed my wedding.
Yeah.
You missed the birth of both of my children." Like you
Right.
could see him like in his face, like change from anger to like,
He was
I'm
hurt.
fucking hurt by
Yeah.
this. Yeah,
And you know what
I
was
know.
dope about it?
Great stuff.
You know what was dope about it? Because the explanation for it was pretty much the conversation we just had, which is, look, bro, I live on such a long timeline. It didn't feel like 20 years to me.
No, because when dude went to that watch for 79 years, what did that feel like to him? Like I wrote that down in here. Like what must that be like to be on such a ridiculous timeline that like 79 years isn't too long to be away from home?
like the lifespan.
That's craziness.
The lifespan of like a regular human, like in those days.
Yeah.
79 years is like holy shit.
It's your whole life. You're gone.
And they
but
do that with Lord
in
of
a
the
life,
Rings.
The lifespan in a world like that is not 80. A lot.
No,
I'm
that's
thinking
more
like
than a
40.
lifetime. Yeah.
Right.
And they
It's
do-
your average
and they
lifespan of
play with
people
those.
in this medieval landscape.
Right.
They play with those timelines.
It
in Lord
includes
of the
giant
Rings a
mythical
lot, too.
creatures and orcs and shit like that. That can
Like
kill
I
you.
like how when only because we're only 2 episodes in, I'm gonna go back to the Lord of the Rings movies. I like how Bilbo implied the same thing about Gandalf. Like you don't come around as much as you used to. And it had been what did he say, like 50 years or some shit like that? And he's like, you haven't aged a day. That was the ring keeping him looking as young as he did, even though Bilbo looked old. It was the ring keeping him. But the point is, for Gandalf, who lives so long,
To notice that he didn't age a day.
that and plus the fact that you don't go see your friend but once every 50 fucking years.
Right.
Because
But
to
it's just-
him,
It's a few
It's
days.
like it's like if I come over here once a week to do the podcast,
Right.
to him it's
That's
like,
50
ah,
years.
shit. Oh, it's been 50 years. Let me go holler at Bill. But God
hard-
damn, you got old. You know what I'm saying?
It's hard to
Like,
think about that. Like it's
yeah,
hard to even
it's a
fathom
really
that.
weird thing.
That's that time dilation
Yeah.
kind of thing where it really does kind of hurt your brain to think of living for thousands of years and
Right.
watching like in other like
So
other
long that you
races and other
forget
people
your damn name.
Right.
don't, right. Which is like so. Gandalf, going back to this thing, had a name. Gandalf is what men call him.
Right.
That's what he like. They
So he
know him-
presumably had a name before
Yeah,
that, though.
He does, and it's
Yeah, I
also
look-
an
I
A.
just looked
forget
it
what
up.
it was.
I
It's
forget.
like something a Nur or something like
Right.
that. Like he has. a
It's not
name.
one of those names that somebody was saying in this. Like they said two names. Like they kept repeating two things over and over again. It was like Yami and Anu, or like something like that. Like they were saying
Like,
something
those
over and
could
over
be
again.
Names of these deities that he's talking about that like created this Middle Earth.
Okay.
You know.
So I was trying to figure out how they had one of those yellow trees because the implication was that the yellow trees were snuffed out, right?
But there was he says they took seeds
Because
from
of
them,
love.
and he didn't destroy all of them. Some of the elves took seeds.
It
or
just it felt
saplings
like that was what was sucked out of the world, right? That light that was created by
from
those
that
trees.
tree. But
Yeah.
but they like not all of the tree was destroyed. They took
Okay.
saplings from it, is what they said. Like,
Yeah,
and
he
that-
explained. I gave it to him, but I was just like,
Yeah.
"What the hell? What is that doing there?" And
Right.
he said it's based on love, and if it will grow if there's love in the household, and you
How
know,
could it
et
not
cetera.
grow in a house
Right.
like yours? Right. Again, she's another character made up.
I won't be reading these names.
So what's his name?
Which ones are you looking at?
Theo.
Gandalf's original names. I'm not reading that shit. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
he's got
mispronounce
all
the
kinds
hell
of-
out of them.
Theo found the what sword is that? Like presumably it's some dark art sword because
I
like
thought it was the same type of sword that the ring race was carrying.
That's what it reminds me of.
That's
That dust that it appears in. Remember when what's his name picked up the knife after
And
Frodo
then
got
it
stabbed
faded
and
away,
just,
yeah.
like into dust.
and he knew exactly what it was as soon as it did
Right.
that.
I think
so
it's something to do with
it's definitely Sauron related.
Sauron related.
Yeah.
Right. I think, like I said, I think Sauron is a character we're going to be like, oh shit, that's Sauron, or we're going to keep guessing at who he is.
at the moment I think it's the wizard dude.
Okay.
Like at the moment, it feels the way he's reacted to people, like gave me the vibe that he's like maybe
Well,
an evil
and, like,
or
it-
an
it-
all-powerful kind
when-
of thing.
When they back that eye up after he crashes, it looks like the eye of Sauron.
It also
I
looked
think
like the
that's a- I
Targaryen
think-
wheel
I think
thing.
that's a red herring, though, like he says all the time.
I'm
Like
okay
them
with that.
Being that, like they're trying to, I think they're trying to make you think that.
I'm just saying, so far there's nobody else that reminds me of Sauron, or feels like they
but-
could be them.
But I'm saying like it's Sauron is so deep in hiding, like it could be the dude on the raft.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like he's
Yeah.
so that he's
So he could
like,
he can look
he's
human.
trying to he's trying to manipulate things over like the long game. Like he's trying to do this all in secret, so that by the time anybody finds out what he's up to, it's too fucking late. And that's
When he was speaking to the fireflies and then they all went dead afterwards, that's what made me think Sauron.
sure. Okay.
I was like,
Or
oh
see,
shit,
that
because the
makes-
light went
it
out as
makes
soon as he
me
was
think-
done.
It makes me think Saruman. Because Saruman was supposed to be one of the first that fell or that came from.
Yeah, but he was always good. He was good until he was.
I'm
corrupt.
saying that this thing doesn't know yet what it is. It could be like it's a being that was sent from.
Yeah, he was.
deity.
They did point out that he was supposed to be the oldest and wisest. Saruman.
So it could be, but and he could be good in the show. We could see a good side of him in the show because of what he's supposed to be up until the point where he turns bad or is corrupted by whatever the power of Sauron slowly corrupts him. You know, through like.
Okay, so you think that could be a character we already know?
Saruman is the
Right.
evil wizard,
The
and
white-haired
yes,
to start, right?
Christopher Lee, Sir Christopher Lee.
Thank you.
Do we have any idea what was in the dwarf box?
Dwarf stuff.
I think it's an eye of Sauron.
You think?
Why? Well, Explain. What does that mean?
Again, he's been doing this for thousands of years. He's been planning. He's been scheming.
Okay,
he's
so-
been placing things. He's been putting.
Wait, but
things
I'm not following why there would be an Eye of Sauron in a box. What does that mean?
They found it in the mountain.
That could happen. Here's
Okay.
the thing that we didn't.
Planted there. Like again, we're not dealing with like a physical being.
So
who
you
had to
think the
dig
eye
into the
is
mountain and hide
separate
it.
from the being?
You remember the little globes that he could see?
Yeah, they
through?
call them an eye, effectively an eye, but it's a crystal ball.
I was
It's not
thinking of like
crystal.
the one that was on the top of the tower. Like that's
No,
his whole
no.
entity at that
No.
point, right?
No, his entity is throughout Middle Earth, like through different things. He is like the eyes of Sauron, the mouth of Sauron is holds part of his essence.
But the eyes in this, and the eye in this instance, he's
Remember
talking
the-
about an actual
You remember the
tool
one that like
that he uses to spy on other people, a crystal ball.
right,
What they would call a
it
crystal ball
slowly
in the
corrupts.
Tolkien area, they call it a eye or whatever.
and it slowly
The one that
corrupted-
Sauron or Saruman had.
Saruman,
and it
like,
corrupted
something like
him.
that.
That
Corrupted
that,
who? Saruman?
Yes, that eye itself was powerful enough to corrupt a very powerful being
Right.
in Sauron. So that I think that's what they found is an eye of Sauron, or Morgoth, or whatever they want to call it. if it
Right.
Yeah,
looks
and
like
that's
that-
and this
that.
and this. I'm glad you said that because here's the balance part.
'Cause it's going to make them dig deeper into the mountain.
Because for me, I'm still looking at it from a storytelling perspective, and I'm like, man, that just don't make no fucking sense. Why would he be able to corrupt another Maya who's theoretically as powerful as him? Theoretically, Saruman is as powerful as
But Saruman thought at the beginning when he started using the
As
eye
powerful
to
as who?
spy on his enemies.
Sauron.
Okay.
But here's the thing. So I'm reading this while y'all was talking. Apparently, J.R. Tolkien had intended that Morgoth would find his way back to Middle-earth and be more powerful than ever before and then fight the last battle and actually win and destroy everything and wipe all the light off for Earth. He's going to attack the sun and the moon first and then finish destroying Middle-earth. This
So
is
the end of it would be it's destroyed.
so technically, the way the person writes it is that the evil is supposed to be more powerful, and
and ultimately
good-
triumphs.
characters right, and the evil will ultimately triumph, but the good characters are basically in a never-ending type of pushback against the darkness, but they are destined to fail, which kind of makes sense when
I
you
would
look at
love for something to end like that.
like when you look at the elves, and the elves is like, look, our time is over, man. We tried to help y'all. We came out here. We showed up over there, and we stood up there and fought and died with you.
in the last
when
month,
we-
and
we-
you betrayed it.
Right, and we fought with y'all on many occasions.
When it came time,
but
to
it's time for us to
destroy that
roll.
evil, they couldn't do it.
Yeah, so it's time for us to roll.
Man.
Dark is gonna win. The darkness is gonna win because the Lord
because
of the
we
Rings,
can't band together, essentially.
pretty much,
I
and
think
the
it's
Lord
a
of the Rings,
commentary on
and
society.
the Lord of the Rings, the focus for us as the audience was the ring,
Right.
which is why the shit ended with the ring falling into the fires
Right.
of Mount Doom.
Right.
That pretty
No,
much.
we had like a 70-minute outro of them hugging
No,
each
I
other.
don't like to remember that. That shit, I had to use the bathroom so bad. I was like, I was literally in the theater, like, go off! Like, what are you doing?
Don't go on the stupid
Right.
boat. It's dumb.
they
it's
just
a
kept
dumb
doing
ending.
I
stuff.
was never super satisfied with that.
That
Like,
ending was
Again, they're
so
like
long.
they seemed like they were 20.
But no, when I
They're
was
like,
saying-
we're done with
Sam
our
didn't go, no,
lives.
Sam
We
didn't
could
go, he
not
went home.
possibly have
No,
a.
Sam went with that girl, the big-breasted chick at
yeah.
the bar.
He went home.
Yeah,
went
he
home.
went with the big-breasted chick.
It just seemed like what? That's the end of
No,
your
Frodo-
life.
Frodo
Nothing
left,
else could
Frodo
be better.
left with his uncle Bilbo.
Gandalf left too, didn't he?
No, actually, Frodo didn't leave. Bilbo only when they got on the boat. Frodo wrote his book.
No, Frodo left too.
Frodo left.
Frodo left.
He
Bilbo
had, like,
finished his book.
He had
Bilbo- no,
Frodo.
but when
Frodo
he
had the
finished it-
last bit of evil left in him from that cut.
and that's why he had to
That's
go.
why he had
Okay.
to leave.
But no, what I was saying though is, from that perspective, all of that shit started to make sense.
What?
Everybody was winding it down. Like, look, we're not gonna win this fight. We're not gonna win this fight. The evil is gonna come back. Sauron gonna come back. Morgoth gonna come back. We can keep having this fight over and over again. Eventually, they
So we're
will win.
out.
So they
Like,
left.
that seems
Why
like
not?
they were the best hope that we as a
And then
Middle Earth
and-
had against it.
Yes, and
then they bailed
No,
when they're
but wait,
done.
They didn't though. They stood with man and fought that last battle. And at the very end, when the chance was
So is it
given
done?
to the man to destroy the ring and destroy evil forever, he put the fucking ring on.
When are we talking about? Are we talking at the
end,
beginning of
right.
Lord of the Rings?
He's talking about the beginning of the Lord of the Rings.
Okay, but at the end of it, where were we at? They destroyed the ring.
Yes, and the last bit of
Yeah,
whatever was left.
Yeah,
was
man
left
came
was-
through.
So was
after the
Sauron
elves
still
left.
alive then?
Yeah, he's still gonna be alive. He can't die. That's one point. He cannot die.
But he was removed from Middle Earth. Per
Right
se.
at that.
So he got the Morgoth treatment.
he
Yes.
he pretty much got the same
Him
thing.
destroying
So
the
who
ring.
the fuck is next?
No,
The
listen.
ring was what was tying him.
Look at it
to-
from the perspective of all the characters, not what side of the pole that they on. Gandalf also died.
I thought he couldn't die.
That's my point. None of them can die. Even when Gandalf fought the Balrog, the Balrog is also a Maya.
Right.
When they fought, Gandalf technically died,
But was
he-
returned.
but
to
he
Middle
came
Earth.
back. He was like, "Ah, man, I got to be Gandalf again. I ain't been here in like a
But
couple
see,
billion years."
But he experienced right.
But to them, they was like,
Endless.
"No, you just fell like 2 weeks ago, bro.
Right.
We was still more than you." He's like, "No, I've been going for a couple million years.
Right.
So what we doing? We still fighting this dude? All right, cool.
He
I
says
unlocked
that in the
some of my
movie, like,
power."
through all time, through all like he's kind of I don't remember the exact
He's
words
how he
uses,
was falling
but
through
he says
time.
like I've like experienced lifetimes like it's he says like that he went somewhere else. Like I didn't understand fully, I guess, until I started looking into the more lore of the Silmarillion about what like the deity and the actual celestial powers of these beings were. Like you said, Gandalf was a wizard when he came back.
Yeah, in my head,
came
he
from
was a
somewhere
wizard.
like some god helped him out in the movie. That's kind of how I looked
Right.
at it. But like now it's like all these things. Like there's a big chart I was looking at where all the gods are listed, and then the Mayas they created, and like then from there the elves were created by like it's
Okay.
it's got a big chart like with all the lore like cascading down.
Yeah, and it's a lot.
Right.
It's a lot.
Right.
It's
And
a
then
lot,
there's, like,
but
the
it-
first
but
thing-
when
How
you
long did he
second-
write these over?
I don't
You
know.
know?
I have no clue. But
would
one
say
thing I
like
do, I
close
will
to
say,
most of his life.
once you kind of grasp the whole concept of what it is they was going for, or he was going for when he was writing this stuff, you look at it different. Jeremy was saying that telling the story from a human perspective is hard to write human characters that's interesting because of the timeline being so long. The human characters would basically be a blink of an eye. I have to admit, he's not wrong. I don't find
But they
any,
could stay in,
I don't-
in
but look,
a singular time period,
I've-
like they did
I don't
with Lord
have
of the Rings.
any interest in any of the human characters in any of these Lord of the Rings properties. I've literally never cared for any single human
We
character.
decided Aragorn wasn't.
He's definitely not human.
He's half human.
Yeah, but that's
He's
and that
what do they got? The Roinar? Is that what they
I can't
call him?
remember what it was, but he's definitely not human. I mean, he's humanish.
Yeah, but they're still considered of the world of men. They're not.
Yeah, but
Right.
but what I'm saying is,
like
what
elves
I'm
or
saying
dwarves.
is, he's not.
Are there any
regular-
humans that live our length of time?
Yeah,
Yes.
plenty
There
of.
are.
them.
Like the chick that the elf is talking to is probably, and all the people in the bar, just regular people, just
Yeah.
regular. They same like lifespan, like
And even in the old movies, you had like Boromir's father, Faramir, his brother,
just
all of the
regular
people.
dudes.
The,
They would
the
not have
rid-
lived a long time
No,
like
they wouldn't have.
Aragorn.
Like the Riders of Rohan and all those. stuff.
Rohan, the horse
These
lords.
these people were all just regular people, and they did have some dope stories and stuff. But the closest thing I came to, I'm just saying, me from a personal standpoint, just kind of agreeing with what he's saying, was that from a personal standpoint, if I really think about it, the only human character that even got close to me giving a damn about the character was the father that Grimir Wormtongue had under the spell.
The king of the king
Only
of Rohan.
because he felt he was wrong, and he was like, where was they when they, or where was Ministerial when we was in trouble, huh? Nobody come over here when they had me sitting up in that monkey ass chair,
Right.
all fucked up. And so, but then when he turned around, it's like, fuck it, we gonna ride out.
light the
And we gonna go out here. No, not even that. When they went to help, I'm talking about when they was sitting in the thing and they was surrounded and they was at Helm's Deep,
yeah,
and it was like, all right, we gonna ride out one more time.
right.
fuck it, let's go. And they got on them 3 horses, rode out there. That was the best human moment in all of the trilogy. Because he was like, basically, I'm about to die.
And
I did everything I could. We hid the women and children.
That's what that movie was focused on.
Yeah,
Two Towers
and it was all
the
about
human-
them, the human
Yeah.
aspect. And he was like, look, we hid the women and children. We sent them off in the tunnels. Fuck it, let's go. Let's go die. I was like, yeah, bitch, go out here and die. But he didn't die. Punk
He
bitch.
was saved by Gandalf.
Yeah, and then he died later from a fallen horse. You got like... People get mad at the Marvel universe for having that moment in Endgame when the ladies got together. It was like, how you going to get through that? Don't worry, she's got backup. And all the ladies showed up. No, I was originally mad in Lord of the Rings Return of the King.
I am no man.
She was like, he was like, no man can kill me. And she was like, I am no man. And then just stabbed him. He just ate the sword to the face. Like, look, I get that she's supposed to kill you, but make the bitch do a couple moves. She just stabbed his mark in the face, and he didn't even try to flinch or nothing.
It was a cinema death. It was a movie death.
Yeah, he just sat there and just ate the sword to the face. Like, no, y'all didn't dodge back then.
To be fair, it was a fallen horse that was bitten by a dragon-type creature and shaken around and thrown. And then he died.
Yeah. Also, if you watch the extended versions, they did have a little longer fight. He actually pulled out that big dumbass mace and started swinging her. Yeah, it was better. But when I'm saying from the initial watch, when I was in the theater, and she was like, I am no man. Everybody in the theater was like, yay. I was in the back like, fuck that bitch. I was so mad.
It was like one of the earlier woke moments.
Yeah, because I was like, he's a goddamn ring wraith. He's a goddamn undying wizard king flying around on a goddamn dragon.
Them too, like they're.
I can't wait for that to start. And that's the question I wanted to ask earlier.
Creation.
Like I don't think we're getting the creation of the rings. Like we might see that like the
I
the
think
last
we might
scene of the season is the rings being forged.
Yeah, if they
finally.
start forging the
And then
rings
we
and we
start
actually
They got to build the
seeing-
tower first.
We
Yeah.
got to see the corruption, the rings, and the things that. they
Yeah,
do
and
to
because the
people.
tower had nothing to do with the rings. Let me just point that out because you said that a couple times. The tower had nothing to do with the rings because his
I thought you
influence.
said they were forged there, or they were
No,
going to be forged.
He's talking
in
about
the-
Sauron's tower.
No, I know.
No, I'm saying no. The rings
we
were
talking about?
forged by the dwarves, and the last ring was forged by Sauron himself, if I'm not mistaken.
But the guy was pitching him making a tower to forge the rings, wasn't he?
Celebrimbor is the one who
Celebrimbor.
forged the rings.
Celebrimbor forged the rings for men, not the rings for the elves and the dwarves.
I think he forged the rings for the elves.
Okay.
Right. But
But
had a
that was
hand-
the pitch, right? That's why Elrond went to the dwarves
I
was
see.
to
Wait, they were
make
talking about
See,
the
I'm
rings?
saying that the
to
character
make a forge, which
Yes.
to me is to make the rings.
Yes. That's exactly what it is.
Oh, so
No,
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 I knew they
and-
was talking
and-
about a forge, but I didn't know they was specifically doing it for a
I
ring.
think that's
don't-
what that's
and
for.
I don't want to like.
I'm just guessing.
That would be crazy.
So I guess I will say this could potentially be a spoiler.
Go
You
ahead.
don't want me to say it? Don't say it. It's from a video game where Celebrimbor is a character in the video game.
Mm-hmm.
He is a spirit that lives in the main character,
Mm-hmm.
and you go back and you revisit some of those situations, and the tower that he's building is a forge where at least some of the rings were forged.
Okay.
Yes.
So yeah,
So
let
that's what
him.
he- so that's
Does
what
that end up becoming Sauron's tower?
it was. I don't know. I don't know for sure or not. I don't know.
Okay,
I cannot confirm nor deny that. I do not know.
fair enough.
But I know that
I thought that was the implication, was that they were building a tower to forge the rings.
I'm
like
saying
the
to
forge.
forge something more powerful that he said.
Right.
Yeah,
He
that's what I'm
doesn't know
saying. I
what it
didn't
is
think
quite yet.
about the rings.
But what I'm
Yeah,
saying,
he didn't. He said, "I don't know the what. It's the how."
It's the how. Okay, so and he
But it
he's
was
just saying I want
alluding to
to do
rings.
something more powerful. He's being
He had to be being controlled by Sauron at that
not
point.
controlled per se, but manipulated in a way and pushed to like, man, don't you want to do something more powerful? You made this hammer and all that. And that was cool, but don't you want to do something a little better?
Right.
Like, there's somebody in the background. Maybe we haven't met yet, or we
Pulling the
haven't
strings.
Oh, Eddie Wormtongue, Remir's.
And I think that's going to be
right.
your Sauron character. Is
Okay.
He's pulling these strings.
See, I didn't even catch that. I got to go back and watch it again because I didn't.
He's
I
like,
don't
I'm going to
remember
manipulate all of these races into making me the items that are going to allow me to control them.
So
and to,
on that note, the kid Theo,
yeah.
if there was anybody that you could say is causing them to be around because they're interested in them, unlike Galadriel, I could see some truth to it with Theo. With
So they're
him
being-
like
see, if
building
they're-
that sword again by it taking his blood and creating more sword, like he could be stoking that, keeping it alive
Sure.
by having found it.
I think that
where that could lead to them
the-
coming back when
the
it's complete.
deities or whatever gaining power
Mm-hmm.
or getting stronger from belief or worship. You know what I'm saying? In them
Okay.
as a deity or god, I think is something that could be possible in this world.
I feel like that sword that kid got that you're talking about.
So like he's like you said by him seeing this and starting to believe in these
And like it started pulling
already-
the blood out of his hand and to
well,
make the sword
and he's
forge again.
from a place where they were on Morgoth's side.
And can we be clear? He is that kid's son, or that dude's son, right? That watchman guy. Like clearly, Theo is that elf's son.
You mean
He's brown, like
oh,
Theo
you think
is.
they've already been at it and had a kid together?
He's been there for 79 years. He said, "I've
Fair
told you in every other way than words," meaning I love you.
He was like, I hit you with this old elf meat. Hey, listen, no.
Yeah, that
no.
you're not
Oh, no,
wrong.
I guess I didn't catch that. But
Yeah,
yes.
they're doing it for sure, or have been in love for a long time but never said it.
Yeah, but if she's just a regular human,
So he nailed her, and she had his son.
No, but what I'm saying is, I believe that kid.
some like 13 years ago, like the kid's like a teenager.
That's that sword that kid has.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's gonna be our ring for the first season.
What do you mean?
I think it's gonna slowly corrupt him. I think it's gonna do to him what the ring did to
So could he be possibly be one of the
not Frodo, but the other one,
was it?
Smeagol.
one of the 9 ring bearers?
No, because the ring race were all kings first.
but he could potentially turn out like go forward and become one, unbeknownst to everybody else being evil the whole fucking time, and keeping that whole thing a secret and become a leader of some sort. And end
Well, he
up-
doesn't seem to know what he's into at the moment,
No, I'm saying that.
but
well,
he could.
the 9 rings that were given to the race of men,
Right.
that corrupted them. They became the Nazgul. They
Right.
became the ring wraiths.
Right.
So do we get to see that?
I would hope so.
The corruption, the
I
turn
want to
of
see
somebody.
that, but I don't know if that kid is gonna be one of them.
Fair
but
enough.
It
fair enough,
looks
fair
like
enough. He's a character.
that is the
created-
sword that they carried. Though.
Well, it could.
It has the
possibly-
same characteristics.
It could be making him one by creating the rest of the sword from him.
I guess it couldn't be him because if you really want to go back, you could probably look up the names of the 9 kings.
It could suck enough of his
He's a
essence
character.
away to
Wait
make.
a minute.
created for the show.
What was happening when Frodo got stabbed with the Nazgul blade?
He could be seen by
He
them.
was
or
like
something?
slipping into darkness or some shit like that. I forgot how Aragorn's girlfriend said it. She said something to the effect of the blade's effect was basically making him
Turning him to a wraith.
turning him into a wraith.
Right.
So then that would have to be what it is.
What would have to be what it
That
is?
sword is
That
turning
sword gotta
him.
be it, man. It's the
turning him
characteristics
into
is
the
too
wraith.
similar.
Like it'll build the rest of the sword, and then he will be a wraith because it pulled enough out of him to make him less than
Yeah,
human
because
or
who
whatever.
else like?
Just a
Yeah,
guess.
that's not even a guess. That's basically a damn hypothesis at this point because it's based on information that we have in the
Right.
past. It's the
I
sword
mean,
is
Like it literally pulled blood out of his hand.
yeah, and plus it's the
So,
characteristics of it is
if
just
you're-
too
If
familiar.
you're thinking like, dude,
Well, too
he-
similar. Sorry.
At the beginning of the prologue of Lord of the Rings, the movie, not the show.
Welcome back, Jesse. Go
He
ahead.
says Sauron poured his cruelty, his malice, and his hatred for all living things into this ring. That's like that from a semi-deity. That is a strong power. That maybe this is, like you said, this is his first attempt at creating or branching his life off of like Harry Potter style. You know how Voldemort split his life into 7 different things. You never saw the end of Harry Potter?
You don't know about the Horcruxes?
Seen the
Or
I've
Crux,
seen
or
the
Horcrux.
I know. I say ho.
Or-
I say
seen the
that.
first 2 movies.
That was my
Well, the bad guy
purposeful
ended up like he
mispronunciation.
split his soul into 7 pieces. basically. So this is maybe something sort of similar to that, where he's put part of his essence into that sword and just to kind of hide it
So
away.
do you think he
so
eventually became the ring wraiths, but he was still in charge, in power at that
that, no,
point,
no,
right?
Sauron didn't become the ring wraiths. I'm
Right,
saying
he made them.
He started hiding these items throughout Middle Earth
To create them, kind of thing.
to start the corruption to in unnoticeable little places, so that it wouldn't be picked up on radar per se. You know
And
what I'm saying?
also, so if you did come and try to vanquish him, his full being wouldn't be just.
Say
in
somebody,
this
say
place.
Galadriel found that sword per se. She went to that town and found that sword and destroyed it. She hasn't destroyed all of his. He's hid his essence in whatever item they have in the dwarf box. Is part
Right.
Of it. What, you know, like those
Okay.
things, like his essence as a deity has been split up amongst these items.
Fair enough.
So it's kind of a cool idea, I guess.
Okay.
And that's what that symbol means.
How many episodes do you think we
There's
get?
8, I think.
8?
That's what they said,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And if they're all an hour plus, I mean, it's still quite a bit of content we can get.
Yeah.
And the show's already been greenlit for 5 seasons. I
Right.
think.
That's nasty work.
I'm ready.
So, I'm into it. I'm definitely in. I fully enjoy.
Are
the
you
first
as
episode.
interested in this as House of the Dragon? Less or more?
Dude, like when less at first. After the first 2 episodes, I was like, yeah, that's great. But when I started like digging into the lore and like learning like some of the stuff I was like watching today about the Maya and the Valar and like those different types of things, I got way more interested and way
Okay.
more interested in the angle that they're telling this story.
I'm glad I wasn't the one that had to say it first, because I was about to
What?
say this shit so far outranked. It's so, to me, it's so head and shoulders above Game of Thrones.
You're talking about the content as a whole,
The
like this-
content, the universe.
right?
Like if
It's
I'm
so
looking at
much
this
more
world,
magical.
I'm
Really,
more
you like it
interested-
more than Game of Thrones?
Hell yeah! Game of Thrones is not even
Interesting.
close.
I
Game
didn't
of
even.
Thrones was good to me because of the characters within.
Yeah.
But this is one of those things where when the world itself is so much more interesting, the characters don't even have to match up to the quality of the characters in Game of Thrones, and it still would be more interesting.
I
to
guess
me.
I'm not. I don't necessarily follow that logic of like the whole, the world not being as. I don't know. Okay.
No, I like the world better.
Well,
Not to be
I
fair,
don't think it's a rule. I think for this specific,
yeah, this specific world.
I think they're exploring things that we've wanted to see. Maybe even didn't know we wanted to see. Because like I said,
Game
I
of
didn't know
Thrones
about
came-
the Silmarillion, back in the day.
Silmarillion?
Silmarillion.
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 Something
I didn't
like
know
that.
about that when I first watched the Lord of the Rings movies.
Right.
I didn't know about that. So this stuff is all like
I know, I like-
super interesting to me to go into this world way farther back and way, even though if it is just glimpses, I think we'll get some more of that stuff.
It doesn't feel similar at all to House of the Dragon in the sense of like we were given this world in Game of Thrones and then now we're going back in it. Like it feels very similar to the Lord of the Rings to this.
Oh, I will. Yeah, sure.
Right?
Yeah, I will give you that. Yeah, I'm
But you were more invested in Lord of the Rings to begin with, you think?
up to a certain point of game until Game of Thrones did take over that notch in my brain.
Right.
Because the Lord of the Rings was there, and like we had discussed that.
Yeah.
At total, Lord of the Rings was 9.5 hours of content.
Right.
If you don't count the Hobbit. You're
And
just
we're
going
talking
the
nearly
original
70
trilogy.
hours
You're
for Game of
talking-
Thrones
right.
or whatever.
So like it's more flushed out. This is the opportunity for them to do that similarly
Right.
with Lord of the Rings.
But not
characters
tied into
and
the movies
lore.
somehow.
If
That's the interesting part to me, that like it sucks that they can't just be like, no, this is literally tied to that.
gonna lead into it, like
Yeah. Like I'd love for it to lead into it, even if they're not supposed to. Because what are they going to do? Redo Lord of the Rings? That would suck.
Well, no, like what I'm saying is like technically, like content speaking and story speaking, it is.
It is. Right. I'm with
but
you.
it can't legally in
Yeah.
the corporate world, our world, be named that.
Right. And it can't be named what? The Lord of the Rings?
It can't be named a direct
Prequel?
comparison to that group of movies
Okay.
per se.
So somebody still owns the movie rights that is
Yes.
not
So whoever created those. movies.
Amazon.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
So could they make more movies? or are there no more
I hope
movies
not.
to be
Please
made?
don't.
Well,
There's not really any to be made,
They-
right?
They're doing
Other than
the
Silmarillion.
only other
Silmarillion.
information there is the Silmarillion, and that's what.
Well, I mean, there's lore, but it'll be like they did with the Hobbit, where
There's not enough stories,
it's
and
a
they'll stretch
little
it out.
story, like stories about like Melkor becoming corrupted and turning into
Morgoth.
Morgoth. Like we know about that stuff. You can probably make a couple movies off of that, but
Or
if the
yeah,
guy who wrote that shit didn't write you a whole story, don't try to do it because the Hobbit was like really stupid. Like
Well,
leave it
I
I
alone.
didn't hate it.
they're
It felt
trying-
stretched out for sure, but it wasn't like it was garbage necessarily, right?
trash.
The last movie was. I didn't know what.
The
Is there
Hobbit.
not some cut of that that's like half as long? That's amazing.
The Hobbit.
original movie, the first movie was okay. The Hobbit was okay. The second movie was like the Desolation of Smaug was like. I didn't like the third movie. I just didn't care.
I checked out in the middle of the first movie, bro. This shit. It's sometimes you know how you feel. Like if you talking to your lady or something, and you sit. Oh my bad, I know. But if you like sitting around talking to your lady or something, and you know like you hit that point in the conversation where you ain't got shit else to say and she ain't got shit else to say, but one of y'all just keep talking for no goddamn reason, and then the shit just started to get silly, and you could tell that somebody's like stretching the conversation out just to keep you talking. I felt that literally in the first Hobbit movie. I was sitting there like, why are we showing this? Why is this on screen? What the fuck is this? Like I found myself sitting there, like
I definitely did not
And a lo-
enjoy those movies.
Yeah,
anywhere
they
near
was-
as
they were
much as I
terrible.
did
They
the
were terrible.
originals.
But no, at the end of the day, I do want to acknowledge one more time. Jesse said she was on. Her excitement for the Lord of the Rings is on par with the Game of Thrones show, and I can understand that.
I'm
just-
willing to let it take
just
me
for
to
me,
there. I
I
just
feel
haven't
like
gotten
it's-
it yet.
I feel like it's a return to me when I was watching. Like I can't remember exactly what point it was, but I'm by myself. Like I didn't watch this with anybody, but I'm just sitting there and I just got this giant smile on my face, and I was like, this just feels like a return to familiarity. Like the stuff that got me going into this super nerdy shit that I love.
Right.
Was Lord of the Rings was part of that. Those movies were part of that, and like it felt like a return to this world was. Game of Thrones was something I didn't know I wanted.
Game of Thrones.
You know what I'm
was
saying?
like-
But House of the Dragon was,
Game of
right?
Thrones was like
Sure.
the boys.
Well, no, I mean not necessarily. I
Game of Thrones was literally like if you took the boys, if you
Right.
start watching the boys after you had already been into like the MCU and the DCEU, and you wanted a TV show and you saw that and you was like, oh, I like superhero stuff. Oh shit, they over the top crazy with this. Game of Thrones shock factor is what drew in so many people. I don't think people were so enamored with the whole dragon thing because you got to remember we was
There's
coming
a
off
lot of nudity.
that
was-
too,
that
but
was another
we had come off of years of dragon type of stuff for a long time. We had
What were we watching with dragons?
not TV shows, but we had movies like Aragorn and all these.
Dragonheart.
We had the Dragonheart.
Sorry, there was a dragon movie called Aragorn.
Yeah.
Aragorn with an
It's
E.
called Aragorn.
Yeah, it's Aragorn, but I
Like
think
the
they pronounce it
character
Aragorn.
from this movie
No.
or from this show.
No.
No,
But it's
different set of
it's
books,
just a
different
different. But the
But
point
I'm saying
is,
the
it was
name
supposed
was
to
the
be.
same.
huh?
The name was the same.
It's
though?
it almost pronounced the same, but
Well, the
it's
one
spelled
that starts
different.
with an E, Aragorn
Okay.
from Lord of the Rings.
But what I'm
was
saying
like,
is,
that's
what I'm
weird.
saying is, we had these things.
might have been
and pe-
Aragon.
Aragon, it was Aragon
Okay.
actually.
That makes
But
more
we
sense.
had these things, and people almost wholesale like we even got into dragons in the future. Remember with
Reign of Fire.
Rain of Fire, we was
Matthew
doing
McConaughey and Christian
dragon
Bale.
stuff a lot. People forget
Right.
this shit. I got a really good memory. I remember this dragon thing was not a new thing. Game of Thrones literally was like titty, dragon, face stab.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that's the main character dying.
in this world that looks and feels similar
Yeah.
to J.R.R. Tolkien.
Right, so
Right.
we gave you this, and then we
Now we're giving you the
And we
brutality
amped
of
it up,
like,
right.
what do they say? The Capulets and the I can't
Montagues.
remember. I can't remember the names of the
Montagues?
like.
Capulets to the
It was
Montagues.
there was another Lancasters was like in history the Lannisters,
right, but
like where he pulled that story
but
from.
that was for me. That was the effect of Game of Thrones. So for me, no, the hype for this show is nowhere close to the Lord of the Rings because Lord of the Rings for me, that world, you got gods that's actually walking around slapboxing with motherfuckers.
That's
It's
what
like,
the-
you know, it's like, it is crazy as hell. Like, we had an implication of godlike power in Game of
Like I
Thrones.
said, the magic in Game
But
of Thrones
this stuff-
was, aside from the dragons on screen, was subtle and very used. Very,
I genuinely prefer that. Like I like the
this
the
was
subtle
more
use.
like way out.
It's
there.
Bro, I'm
ambiguous.
sorry. When Gandalf, like I said, I bought all the Lord of the Rings movies several times like an idiot. I bought them on DVD. I bought them on
Blu-ray.
No, I bought them on DVD. I bought them
The
on HD
HD
DVD.
DVD.
I bought them on Blu-ray, and then I bought them on 4K Blu-ray. Don't
Then-
judge me.
That and then all the extended.
Oh no, the extended. Oh yeah, I forgot. I
Dude,
switched.
those
off
are
it.
so
Sorry.
much better. The
Nick,
extended
so-
That's
editions.
much better.
That's what
Why
I'm.
would you not
I was
watch
about to say. The
12-hour
extended,
version?
the extended version when they was at not Helm's Deep, but Minas Tirith, and Gandalf was talking to the little dumb with Pippin, and he was like, "Man, fuck it, I'm gonna have to go fight this damn ring wraith." Cause see, that's not in the theatrical version. A lot of people don't know that Gandalf had to square up with the ring wraith. Gandalf's like, I got to go fight this bitch out here in these streets. He slid up, had the little light come through this man, motherfucker. Bro, you don't understand. That shit, nothing compares to that to me. Literally,
Did you read that stuff when you were a kid or something?
no. It's just the way something about the character, like it.
When yeah,
The death of Sean Bean.
In what show?
AKA everything. No, 007. But no,
What, all
the
of the shit
death,
that he's
the
in, right.
death of
Are we
Sean,
talking Game of Thrones or are we talking?
but the death of
Lord
Sean
the
Bean,
Rings?
the death of Sean Bean as Boromir
right.
after he has to come to the draw of the ring, and then he was an honorable man,
Yeah, and then he wasn't, and then he was.
but he never wasn't. He was always an honorable man. He just was corrupted by the draw of the ring. And when he went and he felt his honor was taken away from him by this ring, because that's what he felt in that moment. A lot of people don't think about that. He felt like he fucked up. No, he felt like his honor was taken from him.
Yeah, same thing.
And he
essentially,
was
but
like,
yeah.
I'm going to go out here and I'm going to go out with the greatest hero death in the history of hero deaths. I have yet to see anything from anything close to that.
What was his hero death?
It's been a while since I watched it, but
I
now
haven't
that you're
seen one.
talking it through and like I'm getting goosebumps.
Dude, I haven't
What was
seen
his
one.
hero death there? How did he die? I thought he was
When after
killed
he-
by whoever. He was like
When he had to
Earl,
make,
he
he
def-
felt like he had to make
defended-
amends for trying to take that ring from
I remember
Frodo.
that.
He went to protect the other two hobbits, Merry and Pippin, and all the orcs started attacking, and he was the only man standing there fighting on orcs by himself, and he just
Uruk-hai.
kept taking arrows,
Arrows.
and he wouldn't stop fighting. And my point was, in that scene, I have not seen or felt that emotion from a character sacrificing themselves. People like Tony Stark, I am Iron Man. He snapped his finger and he turned it into, yeah, that was rough. It was bad. But no,
Not like Boromir.
no, not Boromir, bro. This is iconic type shit we talking about.
he was only in one movie, right? Or two?
Yeah, he was literally in the Fellowship of the Rings.
Yeah.
But my point, and I think, if you watch the extended version of the Two Towers, they do have some flashbacks. I think he was with his brother, so I could be wrong. It's been a minute, but I haven't seen anything as iconic from anything. So for me, yeah, Lord of the Rings gonna win every time. I hope the show holds up.
But you got into it, just to be clear, from the movies, not
Yes.
from any
I've
books
ne-
or anything.
I had never
Just check
No,
it.
I read The
that's a-
Hobbit when I was in
Actually,
school.
that's a
I think,
flat
but
lie. I saw the cartoon version of Lord of the Rings when I was a kid.
I saw
Did
the
you like
cartoon
it?
version of The Hobbit when I was a kid.
Yeah, they called it The Hobbit, but it was literally the story of Lord of
It
the
was
Rings.
the whole thing.
It was still the
I
same
remember
story with
seeing that, but I
Frodo and
don't- I
Sam and
just
all that.
remember it
Good?
like that.
Do you
It's
remember?
decent, yeah.
Yeah.
It looked just like that game Dragon Slayer.
Yes, it did.
And it was literally
It
two
was like-
little hobbit dudes,
Yeah.
Sam and Frodo, and they taking the ring to trying to get to Mount Doom.
Really?
They hit all the same plot points
Yeah.
and all that. They
You
got
see
captured.
what's his name? Gollum and everything.
Gollum was there. Gandalf was there. He got captured. You had the spider from the cave that stabbed
Shelob,
Frodo. Everything was there. It was the same thing. I remember seeing that as a
Did
kid.
you feel like you were spoiled on the movies because you had seen
Because
that?
I had that's one of them things where it's one of
I
those
didn't
hidden
re-
memories where
yeah, I
you
didn't
have to go back and
that
remember. That's what I'm
cartoon.
saying.
I had seen it, but I did not remember it.
Yeah.
I remember it being like when I was a kid, we were going through the video store or something, and we had watched all the other shit, the cartoons, and I only looked for cartoons when I was a little
Right.
kid. Like I didn't want to watch live action.
Jesse
shit.
said the
So
Hobbit
that was one of the ones I
movies
came
was
across.
garbage.
Said what?
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to cut Jeremy
No,
off, but I had to acknowledge she
Hobbit.
said the Hobbit movies was garbage.
But I saw that cover and I didn't know what it was, but I remember watching it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I didn't remember anything about it.
So was it like the full Lord
Yeah.
of the Rings
Yeah.
in one movie?
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's
How
yeah.
long was it?
It
Multiple
was only
hours?
like an hour and
It
20
was a
minutes.
normal yeah.
I'm just curious.
They
Like
really
that's
dubbed it
interesting
down.
that they
I'm,
made
I'm
it.
about to give you the exact timeline.
When like the scene he's talking about Boromir, yes, everything he says I agree with. When Gandalf goes across the bridge and stops and turns around, and like I am a wielder of the flame of Ardor. I am a servant of the secret fire. You shall not pass. Like that shit was like.
Shields,
Was
baby.
that in the movie?
Shields.
Was that in the cartoon as well?
I don't remember that.
think
I
so.
don't remember the cartoon like that. I
Okay.
remember the movie, and then he slams
Yeah.
and the thing. This fire sword comes down, and he blocks it with the staff. That shit is just like you said, iconic
Okay.
shit. Like I'll never.
I was
forget
just curious if
him
you guys
hanging
got
on
into
the
it
thing,
from
You
that.
know what's
"Ah,
crazy?
fools," and he lets go and falls.
Because like with Marvel, you guys were into that prior to the movies.
Yeah, I
I was just
definitely-
curious
I was
if it was the
deeply
same
into the
thing with
comics.
this,
No.
where you were into it from the books.
Yeah, it was an
and,
hour
like-
and 30
Definitely
minutes.
definitely for the movies.
Okay. Okay.
That's crazy.
Fair
Definitely
enough.
from the Peter Jackson movies.
So
what got
next
me.
week we're gonna talk episode 3. There's only one, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And then we'll also be back for House of the Dragon episode 4.
Yep.
So
So they had to try to catch up. Is that why they released 2 to try to stay neck
right,
and neck
try to
with
stay
House of the
caught up
Dragon?
with House of the Dragon. Maybe
House
they'll
of the
do
Dragon's
2
got 2 more episodes. House of the Dragon's got 10, I think, and
total.
10
Right.
total. We're only doing 8 for.
Okay. So we'll still be talking House of the Dragon by the time.
I want to apologize to my wife. I would have been home, but Jeremy and Joel talk too much.
Right.
Please don't beat me.
This is how to watch TV.
See you later.